getting the disposals for the Eagles through the first part of the season. He goes all the way back to Edwards, and the switch is on because Marrick's worked hard to left half-back. He'll go in short. It's a tough kick, but Owies was up to the task.
Just owning the ball at the moment, aren't they? West Coast, 22 disposals, make that 23-4. Essendon just cannot get their hands on it.
Really flipping the script on what was last week. Harley Reid was there, and he was going to cannon in to Roberts, who did well to take the mark. Rising star nominee from last round. We have 28 disposals. Merritt was there. He was taken high, perhaps. He was certainly searching for it, but it's over and out.
You can just see there, Essendon want to possess the ball. So the number one disposal team in the competition, they play a keepings-off type of game. Really uncontested game. They just did not want to kick that to a contest down the line, so they're looking for that short one. If West Coast are right, if they really want to pressure and try to stop the ball, they've got some opportunities here.
High kick from Hobbs. McGovern, best position to knock it away from Caddy. Wright in there goes with Hoff. Setterfield getting involved. Tackle. Strongly done by Edwards. Jaden Hunt with a handball. The Eagles under the pump, but they can escape. Perhaps Edwards around the body, but there's just that one kick up the line, and Setterfield wins it back. And a 50-metre penalty is going to be paid. And so this will take the Bombers well within goal-scoring range.
Well, Huitt asking what for, we'll have to have another look because it wasn't obvious to start with.
That's costly, isn't it, though? Was it a player on the mark, or was it one of the ones that ran around the back? We will get some clarity on that.
Huitt was the one on the mark. He just stood probably 2 or 3 metres in front of where the ball was marked. It's pretty clear 50, and whistles going off, he just didn't move.
Didn't get back enough under the instructions from the umpire. Means that Setterfield's advanced inside 50. And the set shot is away to the left. So let off there for the Eagles. McGovern wasting no time to bring the footy back into play. Huitt competing for that one. Durham was up too, as was Draper. Durham burrows in and will get a ball up.
Well, Pav, you speak about the Bombers and their style of play. They are one of the highest teams in the competition for those short kicks. So that's some of the preparation that the Eagles should know coming into it, to be nice and tight on your opponent to turn it over.
Draper smashes it forward. Marrick in there. Kelly feeding the handball away. Missed the target. Wright throwing his body weight around. He was wrapped up well by Graham, who was certainly leading from the front in terms of the tackling numbers last week. For West Coast, Jack Graham had 4 more tackles than any other Eagle, had 9 in the afternoon.
Yeah, you need those senior players to really stand up when they just haven't been able to get continuity with their game style. You need that effort. It's a nice mark from Flynn.
In front, he's been taking good marks at waffle level over the last few weeks. Had a very tough outing against Jared Witts in round 1, but he's found his way back into the team. High one to the 50. Smashed away from Waterman. Into the corridor, though. Jones has to get back to try and help Hoff. On the upper way to Baker. Ripped in the tackle. Good pressure by Essendon. And they'll force it back. Redmond. McGrath. Back to Zach Reid. And now Pryor. And they can just work the numbers. Out of defence. Martin in short. And strong hands from Jones. In the sunshine they go, but the mistake is made. Fans finding some voice early. So the turnover from Jones keeps the footy in the forward half for West Coast. Baker, who's been busy, into the pocket. Only height down there. Mackay had a lot of it. Jack Williams arriving. Just got his boot to it in time, but Essendon with the numbers to get out. Durham to Pryor. And a good outlet kick to it is to half-back.
It's a fantastic kick. Andrew McCall will be really pleased with that pressure factor to start this game. Over 200 is a big number, and the challenge clearly for the Eagles is, can they sustain that?
Right in short. Short kicking game of the Bombers to Dersma.
Yeah, they're ranked 18th for applied pressure. There's this chip style of uncontested footy that the Bombers love, but ranked 18th in a number of areas. But that pressure, that's an intangible you talk about. You can actually control that effort. As there's a free kick to Jeremy McGovern off the ball.
Held the defender. He goes into the corridor but misses the kick in a terrible spot. No one ahead of Draper, who just had to let it go from long range, and he sent it out of bounds, which is probably a good result. They get a boundary throw in deep in attack, but that was almost a disastrous turnover for the Eagles.
Draper didn't know what had fallen in his lap. Wasn't quite sure what to do with it. He's playing some good football. He's always entertaining, Draper.
It all rolled up so high. There was no one inside 50 for Essendon. They get a chance here at the stoppage. Wright had front position. Graham to Kelly. Delayed a handball to Hoff, who just shrugs off Merritt. And a wobbly old kick goes back to Draper again. Attracting the footy. Now Redmond changing direction. Lowering the vision, but he only found Graham.
At the moment, they're just outnumbering. That's a bad turnover, that one from Essendon, but they're outnumbering Essendon very well, the Eagles, at most of the stoppages or most of the contests. So, pleasing sign for Eagles fans.
Jack Graham leading the way with 7 disposals. Blocking free kick here. Go the Bombers' way. And back for Ridley. Martin wide, Baker there, and did work hard to get and knock the footy away and over the boundary line.
So that appears to be a good move so far. In a man that can probably play anywhere on the field, to be honest, in Baker. Just give him a little bit of stability, bit of experience behind the football.
Trained all pre-season as a defender. I think they want him to play that half-back role, but by virtue of the way they have started this year, as in so poorly in different areas, he's had to kind of be moved around and plug some different holes with, as the umpire just is holding for someone to do their shoelace up. I'm not sure.
That's generous.
I remember. There you go.
I guess it's the ruckman.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the more courteous sports in the world. Just wait for someone to do their shoelace up, no play on.
Got another little stoppage in this one. Flynn given the benefit. Way to get over against Wright. He wins a hit out down to the front. Trying to crash through again.
Really interesting. So just been watching Zach Merritt for a while. He started inside and Hutchinson was trying to go to him. Then he went to half forward. Now he's almost playing a wing role. So I think Brad Scott just starting to move around some of their players to manipulate some space. And
I haven't got a boot at that, and it's just gone off the line, has it?
When you are playing a younger side, I mean, both these sides are very young, but when you can start to manipulate some of the positions by virtue of playing really hard one-on-one.
That's a great matchup. Yeah, absolutely, Pav.
In front spot. Shield went without it. Wright got through a tackle. Graham couldn't take it. Hobbs was there. Merritt just knocks it to his advantage. He tried to squeeze a handball through. McGovern back the other way. Graham with strength. Feed it back to Edwards. Softer step. Just had to heave it out to half-back. Draper, big mark. And he can keep it locked in the forward half for Essendon.
So he's the ruckman just sitting behind the football, setting up that extra number on the wall.
Long ball goes in. Caddy at the front almost. Good launch at it. Dewar. Edwards lost his footing. McGovern took them on. Just got a handball out in the nick of time. Martin in there. Caddy had it. Leads it back to Martin. And the boundary line will win out.
Not much space is there in that Essendon forward 50. It's all been slow play, been a huge amount of flow into that forward 50. But West Coast are defending strongly. They've brought that pressure. We saw that number before. There you go. It's dropped down a little bit, but very close to 200 and above.
Right. Front position in the ruck. Baker. Harley Reid's in there. Martin fed it through. Jones trying to get some space. Right, the overlap. Shield on the burst. On the boot. And to goal, but it was touched as it went through. That was the initial call. We'll get it checked, you would think.
Score of you.
So the umpire, the controlling umpire, has called for the review. It's clearly touched, but he just wants to make sure. Probably the right decision there.
Get that confirmed pretty quickly. That is the result. Henry McGovern was keen to get the footy in his hands, but had to wait until that was confirmed.
Look how deep that zone is. So all the Essendon players are just saying, if you want to kick it to anyone inside about 30 metres, you can, but
Draper knocked it down. Hutchinson tried to defend. He'll be caught holding the ball. As soon as you do that and you tackle, you're in trouble. And Draper, again, he's got an increased role.
He started well, hasn't he? Yeah, he's done very nicely. A couple of big contested marks and a shot at goal.
Into the pocket. Wright trying to leap over the pack. Jones brought it down. Harley Reid was in there. Hutchinson goes in and under again. Flynn, Hoff, smothered by Jones. Still inside 50 for the Bombers. They've had it camped in there for quite a while in their forward half. Now it spills towards Merritt. What can he create? Wright just had a fumble at the wrong second. Baker's handball was loose and wide and didn't find a teammate. Taken by Pryor. Away to Caddy. Great step. That's not 15. Put Hobbs under the puppy. Got it back to Caddy. Creatively done. Feeds it away now to Ridley. Under pressure. And he almost found Jones. Spills to Wright. And they've somehow manufactured a goal. The Bombers. They find their first. And welcome back, Peter Wright.
First game of the season. Averages about 1.5 goals per game throughout his career. And he gets on the end of a loose one, and we may be seeing this quite a bit today. There's been a clear instruction from Andrew McQualter and the coaching staff of the Eagles to get numbers behind the football, to create density in their back half. You'll be able to win the football, but then you have to give up something. What you give up is your forward structure. So as that ball comes in, there's chaos. As you can see, there's 4 Bombers at the fall of the ball. Any of them could have picked it up eventually and kicked the goal. That's a nice finish off one step on the knock third.
He's now played 10 and 14 games across the last couple of seasons. Peter Wright, 19 goals in each of his last 2 campaigns. They want to have him up fit and firing. Trying to get back to when he kicked the 53 in a season a couple of years ago. He's in the ruck here. Now the middle shield to Wright. Showed a fair bit of the footy. Gresham did well to knock it on. Martin tackled by Harley Reid and had to cough up the handball and get it wide. Davis will feed it back through. Creatively done for the run of Jaden Hunt. The kick to half forward. He'll direct it. Roberts camped underneath. Will win the free kick if not paying the mark.
Yeah, so after the Eagles were out of the blocks early and lots of inside 50s, an opportunity to go. Essendon just starting to get a little bit more control on this game. It's really lived in their forward half the last 5 or 6 minutes, and they got some reward for effort, but very even at this point in time if you're looking at the stats.
Menzie up the line. Perkins there. Hoff able to see it over and out.
Had a great game last week, Menzie. Career best in regards to those goals. Is you have a look at those disposals and the contested possession. So a total of 77 last week, which was well highlighted and spoke about multiple times throughout the course of the week. They're already up to 20.
Minus 59 in the differential last week against Carlton. Here's Hutchinson over the top of it. Hobbs did well to lock it in, and it will be a ball up.
And perhaps with that 77, the lowest of all time, and that includes the compromised COVID year when the games were shortened.
Damning stat, certainly. And it has sparked a response today. Those numbers being highlighted from last week. Competitive game to begin with. Huitt's in there. Hutchinson fighting for it. Marek. Now Crips able to extract it and get it forward. Now to Kelly. He's got runners on the inside. Hewitt couldn't quite take it. The hand was just away from him. And now they can slingshot the other way. Essendon. Shields kick. Edwards across to try and win it. Martin's there, did well. Jones too. Bombers with the extra number. The handball though missed Perkins. Made it tough for him. Well played by Hoff. One-on-one battle. Got it to Davis. And now they can release through Waterman. The crowd enjoying the output as the kick goes towards Crips or Ryan over the back.
A couple of big one-on-ones, wasn't it? Hoff on the outer side was really strong over the ball. Got to go to Waterman, and then smart ball use. Get it in quickly. Ryan calling out Crips, saying my ball.
Hoff in particular,
yeah,
who really spoke with emotion after the loss last week. How difficult it's been at West Coast, how keen he is to see the club succeed. A high kick by Ryan. Archery down there. Push up. Created the path for Jack Williams.
Sometimes you just have to make it up as you go, and this is one where Brad Scott and Essendon coaches will be fuming that this is off firstly. So shoulder to shoulder, down lower, a bit harder than his opponent, and then it was good ball use. But as this was kicked in, Essendon actually had the outnumber. The ruckman was down there. It was a bit of a push, drop mark, and then Williams out the back was able to snaffle it. Yeah, that really hurts you if you're an Essendon fan on the goal line. That needs to go through somehow. Archery, just enough body work. It was smart. Enough body work to the ruckman and Wright and
Enough to affect it, without giving away a free kick. You're right. If he doesn't compete, that ball gets intercept marked. Well, by Jack Williams to stay alert.
His fourth goal of the season. Was left out in the first couple of games. Didn't hit the scoreboard last week. He'll be pleased to get on the board early in this one. Shield working hard. Soccering the ball, gaining some territory. Duggan best placed. Had the help of Marek. Stabs the ball in too short though. Mark's got the footy again. He's worked a heap of it so far. Disposal number 9 for the term coming up.
Just fights the football, doesn't he? Just always in the right spot. Can play multiple positions.
And it's a great kick towards the advantage of Jones. Good spoil from Jimmy Kane. Kako ran into trouble, coughed it up. Davis with a handball away. Marek now up the wing. Important battle here between the brothers, and who wins out? Archery will get the free. Points go to the younger brother in that contest as the high kick goes in. Waterman working hard. Back inside 50. The Eagles playing with some spirit.
A great turnover, wasn't it, from the Eagles on the half-back line. A big win because Essendon looked like they were out for a moment, and then another big one-on-one between the brothers. Archer with the bragging rights on this occasion. On older brother Zach. That's a great kick as well. They're playing with some spirit and playing with some competitiveness that we haven't seen so far this year.
And to absorb a lot of what Essendon were throwing at them for the last 10 minutes or so in terms of territory. Scrambled a goal a few seconds ago. And they kick back to that Majors. Jake Waterman's got 2.
Well, Waterman's kicked 2 and Brad Scott's got some early headaches. It's just, as you can see, the little shake from Brad. So that's just the defence behind the football that'll be concerning him. But what I'm loving from a West Coast perspective, look at Waterman. He's reading the cues. He can no longer impact that play because the ball's been won by a teammate. And he is not waiting. He's racing back to goal. I love the speed of the Eagles off turnover at the moment. It's really challenging the Bombers' defence.
Yeah, it has come from turnover, so they're 3 goals, not from stoppage, not from kicking, all from turnover. Their pressure's up, and they're executing with ball in hand. Waterman on fire early.
Incredible year last year, Jake Waterman. The All-Australian kicking 53. Oh, a calf injury through the early rounds of this season. Such an important part of their forward line. Out of the middle, Essendon, Merritt with a handball. Durham tried to slap it away to centre field. Kelly soccers it inside 50. Roberts will be back there first. Oh, he's hunting after him. Well done to get it to Redden. Now Essendon's turn to try and create something off half-back. Merritt involved. Durham Reed wrapped him up in a brute of a tackle. The pressure right up from the Eagles. And Riley rebounding the 50.
Was there as well, went through the mark.
Following the other play, the kick goes into the pocket. Waterman got the separation and takes another mark inside 50.
Doug Scott wasn't pleased moments ago. That one will make him just as angry. That's almost an uncontested mark to a long kick inside the forward 50.
Now, he put early body on here, Waterman on Pryor, and you would have thought Pryor had an opportunity to come back. Maybe it was a hold while looking for the umpire's call, but you're going to get back on the ball.
Crowd have been making plenty of noise. Haven't heard too much of that in recent times. But it's been a big response, a bright start to this contest. The Eagles trying to fight back, and Jake Waterman is on fire with 3 in the first turn.
Well, we spoke about him off the top path, about his importance to the structure and the way that this team can move the football, but he's become the focal point forward of the footy. Here's that huge tackle from Reed. It's no mean feat bringing down Durham as well.
What I liked about this as well, not can see in Harley Red push and shove and do things after the play. But it was just a great tackle. We got the ball back quickly, got it in, and allowed this one-on-one. It's hard to believe that it was a one-on-one in the end. Just it was a slow play. Let's have a look. There's a little bit of jumper. It's a bit of a push. Even Waterman was a bit surprised that he was uncontested in the end, and he's got his kicking boots on this evening.
And he had 2 goals in his 2 games he'd played so far this season. He's now got 3 in the first quarter. And the Eagles searching to win just their second quarter of season 2025.
Yeah, so up to 30 contested possessions. We've highlighted how few they had last week. They're almost halfway there, down.
Just compounds the performance of last week, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Always don't want to keep speaking about it, but it does emphasise how low 77 really is.
There's that pressure factor again, back up. Overall, on 200, that's where it's been for the Eagles. You can see it on the screen. They're just throwing their bodies recklessly at it.
Merritt could have been tackled without it. No whistle, get another stoppage.
And I like this Josh check because it also allows Baker to sit behind the football. So you see him at the top of screen, just on the 50, is that extra defender for extra support.
Draper free kick in the ruck being held by Flynn.
Yeah, both teams with an extra in between the arcs, set those stoppages down.
And Merritt find a target and just overshot Caddy. And McGovern was more than willing to accept. He'll pull the trigger through the corridor. Flynn to Hutchinson, but he telegraphed it. Hutchinson knocked it back to his own advantage. Merritt was there, then was held too long in the tackle. And just giving the handball a touch too early. Turnover comes. Bombers with a chance here. Pryor bombs it in. High ball. Perkins caught out of position, then infringing on McGovern, chopping of the arms.
Yeah, he's having an impact. Jeremy McGovern just getting in the right spot. We're going to kick it away from him, or his opponent has to be used. He's playing well.
It's the last couple of games through injury. Goes out towards Ryan, who leapt early and landed awkwardly. Was there a little tunnel or a push there? Graham certainly gets in and pushes his opponent out. And then a below the knees free kick against Graham.
I'd like to see both of them. I thought the first one initially was tunnelling. And I thought that second one from Graham as we have a... I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that. I thought the second one was a player grabbing the football.
Draper after the footy. Ryan, I'm going to get it out now to Harley Reid off half-back. Back to Ryan with run. Good chase from Kako. But it opens up. Waterman has been everywhere. He's got nothing inside 50 to start, so has to wait for an option to present. Crips working hard against McGrath. Good one-on-one battle. They both go back in. Game red hot in this first term, and we'll get a stoppage.
Waterman's up and about. When you're getting the ball delivered to you like that, it's hard to defend, but Mackay just has to really lock down on him at the moment. Eagle pressure is up. Ball is moving freely.
Draper in the ruck against Jack Williams. Martin back there. McGrath. Quick kick out of defence. Might come back, though. Flynn knocked it further afield, only as far as McGovern to Baker. Spun out of the tackle of Gresham. Went hard at it and sends it in again. Bounce important. Finds Waterman almost. Back split open. Bombers have a chance. They're on their heels right now. Dersman. Back for Pryor. Again, the pressure comes, but they've got the outlet kick in Setterfield. Just under 2 minutes to go to a quarter time.
You can see on screen inside 50s. West Coast with only 2 more, but it's been so efficient when they have gone inside. And Essendon, on the other hand, have just kicked it to McGovern. So they've got some issues, the Bombers, right now, not only on the scoreboard, but just with their method. West Coast up for the fight. The Bombers being smacked in the mouth early.
Perkins up the line for Kako. Just after over a minute to play till quarter time. Go back to Roberts.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to take a bit of sting out of the game because West Coast want that upbeat, turnover style of game. It's on their terms and has been for most of this first quarter.
McGrath, there's some pressure from Ryan up the wing over the head of Hutchinson, but he'll be first back to try and recover it. Turns boundary side, almost went out of play, but he did keep it in. And still a chance for the Eagles to go forward. Flynn. No one on the mark. Crowd urging him to go. He'll send a high ball. He wants Slam Ryan to leap at it again. Roberts gave away a free. Almost should have been paid the mark. The free kick must have come at first touch of the footy. Ryan's got it. Will send the Eagles inside 50. They'll go for Waterman again. Vice-like hands and marking everything.
Been so impressive. We need to celebrate his first quarter from Waterman. And we can have a chat about the negative side of that. That's been the defence of the Bombers. Just reading the flow of the football far quicker than his direct opponent.
Well, the Eagles win just their second quarter of football for season 2025. We'll just wait to see what the margin will be. 16 before the kick of Jake Waterman. Taking yet another mark inside 50. Already got 3 for the term. Jake Waterman hits it well. It straightens and goes through. Last week's performance demanded a response. The West Coast have delivered it. Jake Waterman putting them on his back. Has 4 in the first quarter. The Eagles win the term. The Bombers a little stunned. It's West Coast by 22 points at the first change.
And welcome in, everybody. It's the West Coast Eagles taking on the might of the Essendon Bombers, but it's all the Eagles in the opening quarter. And the mullet man's doing his job well. Tell you what, 5 straight goals, 30 the Eagles, 1 goal to the Bombers. Eagles have come out to play. They're on song today. You just never know what you're going to get week to week with the West Coast Eagles. But I tell you what, playing at home in front of a home crowd over there at Optus Stadium in Perth, the West Coast Eagles looks like they've brought their A game out onto the field today, and that's great to see. We're seeing glimpses in the past this year so far of the Eagles putting in spits and spurts, I guess what you'd say, of good gameplay. But finally, Addy G, we West Coast, they've hit the ground running and they're looking pretty strong out there at the moment. Tell you what, I'm liking the West Coast Eagles. I just want to quick give a shout out. Sheila May, Gia, mega love shout out. T-Name Bim Bam, the manager's in the house. Mega love shout out. Lockie, how you going? How you doing? Of course, Addy G, the famous Mr. Addy G. There we go. All right, I tell you what, it's a great game, folks. It's a great game. Let me just before I go any further, I just want to check out the lineups because I didn't get to those prior to the game. Just have a look at any ins and outs for the teams. West Coast Eagles, Jeremy McGovern comes back, doing a fantastic job down back there for the Eagles already. Matt Flynn coming in with Tim Kelly and Elijah Huitt. Tim Kelly, one of the gun midfields for the West Coast Eagles. Poor form. He got dropped last week. Hopefully that put a firecracker up his backside. Hopefully he comes out with a rip-roaring game today. Going out, of course, for the West Coast Eagles, Sandy Brock, Clay Hall, Oscar Allen, the captain, he's out. And Bailey Williams, the sub. Tom Gruss. No milestone games for either team today, but for the Essendon Bombers. Peter Wright coming in. Nick Bryan going out. Saad El Hawley is the sub, of course. All right. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Let's just check on the goal scorers. And, of course, the stats quickly before the bounce of the ball for the second quarter. And have a look. The mullet man, Jake Waterman. He has been the target. His mitts have been grabbing the ball and sticking strongly. 7 disposals, 7 kicks, 6 marks. Thank you, mother, for the Rabbits. 4 straight goals. That's what you love to see. Take the mark, kick the goal, put your team further ahead. You got to take your chances when they come, and he certainly has been taking his chances. West Coast looking good. Jack Williams has got a single goal for the Eagles. Peter Wright, the only single goal scorer there for the Bombers, who just can't quite at the moment handle the pace of the West Coast Eagles. And, of course, the defence of the Eagles is, I tell you what, they're on song as well today. Can they do it for 4 quarters? We'll see. Disposal count on the ground. As I said, Jeremy McGovern holding the defence up well down there for the Eagles. He tops the table with 11. Wouldn't often see him topping the table, but he is today. 7 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 marks in the clearance. Nick Martin, best of the Bombers with 10. Ryan Marrick there for the Eagles with 8. Jake Waterman, as I said, to 7 touches, 7 kicks, 4 goals. It'll be interesting. I want to keep an eye on, see how Tim Kelly's going to go today. He's had 5 touches, a little bit of a slow quarter. We'll see him get into the game, I'm sure, at some stage. Sam Draper, the big ruckman there for the Bombers, just the 5 touches, 8 hit-outs. Harley Reid's another one I want to keep an eye out for today. I want to see if he performs well today. He had a first good opening quarter, although the 4 touches, 3 kicks, 1 handball, 1 mark, 2 tackles. It's about time he put his stamp on the game this year. It was good to see he's actually playing the ball instead of the player. He's all his nonsense out on the ground today, which I haven't seen. He's just been playing good football, strong football, tough football, like he is. All right, folks, that's enough for me. Enjoy the bounce of the ball for the second quarter. In about 50 seconds' time, we'll take you back down to the ground now.
Care and health promotion and prevention programs for children and young people. So we ask if you can today, please donate to the Good Friday Appeal. A 22-point margin at quarter time. We get down to Will Schofield keeping an eye on things at ground level.
Yeah, sure am. Perhaps it's a bit of atmosphere down here, which I don't know if many people expected coming to the ground today. And it's off the back of this West Coast Eagles effort, the spirit. A couple of players I noticed. Brady Hoff watching in this one. Watch how quick he presses on the ball here. Big bump and gets him going. And then watch the players run. Watch Kelly, watch Crips in the middle of the ground. And they're just on their bike at the moment. They looked dead on their feet last week at Gather Round. But these plays here, you can see the energy in which West Coast is playing with. Jimby with the spoil, and then they're absolutely gone after a couple of tackles here. It's just off to the races. Crips again through the middle of the ground. Big effort by Archer Reid and his brother Zach, and Waterman and Crips out the back and gone. So been really impressive, the effort from West Coast so far in this first quarter.
Yeah, their effort's the one that we've all asked for at some level, and what it does, when you put that much pressure and effort up the ground, it allows your forwards to get to work. 7 disposals and 4 goals from Waterman. He was on absolute fire. The defensive efforts from the Bombers was poor, but I mean, when you're moving that ball so well, it is kind of hard to defend and lack of pressure up the field. But West Coast have certainly come to play, and this is what everyone wanted in terms of, from a fan's perspective, to get moving.
7 disposals, 7 kicks, more importantly, for Waterman as a forward. Love to see that.
4 goals through the big sticks, and the 22-point lead to the Eagles. They've won just their second quarter of footy in season 2025. Is out of the middle. What response now can Essendon have? Merritt's kick will land with Baker, who played on quickly to Jimmy, put him under the pump, but perhaps an Essendon player got a hand in there, which is why it's coming back to Baker.
So that's the point, isn't it? Perhaps it is really now up to Essendon to respond. So started well, West Coast. Can they maintain it? We talked about them only winning their second quarter for the entire year in that first term. Can the Essendon team now get back on top and get it back even at half-time?
Harley Reid, long ball down the line. Flynn made the contest. Kelly at the spill. Footy not coming out.
Well, we saw what the Bombers did early in this season with that poor team defence. So in that first quarter, the Eagles had 13 opportunities to move it out of their defensive 50. They got it to the other end of the ground 6 times. Of that 6, they kicked 3 goals. So those numbers are huge, rebounding off the half-back line.
Shield here at half-back for Essendon. High up and under. And Flynn, the only one there. He's had an impact coming back into the side. He'll send it into the pocket. He wanted Archer Reid, who gets in a tangle with Zach. They go at it at ground level. Crips likes to work his magic from the tight angles. He produces again. He is deadly from that type of distance. On some extremely tight angles. He's kicked some goals like that already this season, and that's another one to add to the reel.
Incredible finish from Jamie Crips, but again, just the pressure and the lack of ability to absorb it from Essendon. So they turned it over on the half-forward line, and then Flynn just whacks it back in quickly. There's a little bit of lead and movement. The Reeds go at it, nice contest from Archer, and then this. The veterans still got it from the boundary line. It's a great finish. That is definitely a goal. Well done by the goal umpire to call it. Wonderful finish, but alarm bells are going if you're a Bombers fan.
Yeah, you're right, Pat. And the longer this drags out for the Bombers, the more nervous they'll be getting. The expectation is you come over here and you get the 4 points and you head straight back home like everybody else. So the pressure will be building.
Margin out to 28. And there's Merritt, as always, just trying to lead his side into it. And a downfield free kick will come against Harley Reid. And the overlap run comes from Merritt again, who chips it wide for Dersma.
They've had a couple of opportunities to just drive that ball in when it's 6-on-6, but they've ended up quite wide and possessing the ball again. It's a clear feature of their game, but particularly out of a centre square bounce, you would love to see that one drive in long.
Now Redmond will find it. It was hoping for Perkins, but Jimmy swallowed it up.
You can see a bit of frustration there from Perkins. He isn't exactly sure what's happening up the ground, so they're all at sea at the moment, the Bombers.
Marek just hits it high and hope. Essendon with numbers there, Mackay. Eagles fans wanted a pushing free. 28 points. No one predicting this scoreline. As McGrath sends it in, another inside 50, but again, Jeremy McGovern in the row.
Nice disposal, number 13 for McGovern.
It combines with Waterman. This is where they really want a slingshot again. Out of defence, Kelly, long, Crips, marks inside 50.
So it's a slow play to an open play, and that's why West Coast are out. But if it's a slow play, you should actually give yourself time to set up behind that ball movement and really build a wall. But what's happened a couple of times, they've just been completely opened up, the Bombers. It's great play from West Coast, but just not on the same page as one another at this point in time, Essendon.
Type of brand that Andrew McQualter had been searching for with his team, trying to implement as Jamie Crips leans back on the kick, and it's across the face.
You're spot on, Pav. Just with that inside 50, you have enough time as defenders, but also those mids that aren't involved to set up strong behind the football. We'd never be on a fast break going back the other way.
6 goals, 1 from turnover in the game already. A holding free kick will go Wright's way.
So here now, there's one-on-ones ahead of the play, but they are just looking so short and sideways. They're not looking to drive the ball at all. And when you're a defender, when that's the case, McGovern's thinking, thank you very much, because I'll get players and density and numbers back in front of my key forward. So you can see there, they're looking sideways, they're looking backwards. It's all well and good to change angles and shift, but you have to threaten the opposition's defence at some point.
Zach Reid will go back to Mackay. They've got the ball almost on the wing, and now they're going to look at it. Turnover, they've sent it towards Owies, who couldn't mark. Roberts played it pretty well in the end, under enormous pressure. Some tunnel ball from Archer Reid to Graham, and now Kelly. Horrendous turnover from Essendon, and they put themselves under the pump. Waterman on the charge. They're going to look longer out the back because Flying Ryan wants to go, but Jones gets back to help.
See, they're making life difficult for themselves, the Bombers.
They go out to the one-on-one with Draper to help arise for Flynn in the form of Marek. With the ball at his feet, tackled without it. Never took possession. Draper overcommitted, in fact, over-the-shoulder free being paid.
That's a bit reckless from the big fella. At least he's showing some effort. He's about the only one at the moment, from a Bombers perspective. This one turned over.
Ball kick from Dewar. Harley Reid with a fend on Hobbs. Off the side of the boot, but just goes over the line.
I'm not sure why he had to bounce after 2 steps down. That is a frustration from...
And a 50 now too. Maybe not giving the ball up quick enough.
Yeah, it was a real let-off because their team defence has been so solid. The Bombers struggling to work their way through.
Now will Essendon try to go quickly. Martin through the middle. Great chase and tackle from Archer Reid.
And they are out as well.
All 203 centimetres with the rundown tackle. The sort of pressure that has been lacking from the Eagles this season. Into Huitt, look out, Martin gets one back. No awareness there from Huitt. McGrath, Essendon through the middle. Merritt goes wide. Now Perkins has got some space.
They're refusing to kick it forward to their forwards. The Bombers at the moment are looking sideways, looking short. Peter Wright was on a nice long lead then, and there's just no ability to pull the trigger and take some ground.
Jones this time will have to send it in deeper. Peter Wright will be the tall target, and he takes a terrific mark. 2 or 3 cracks at it. And that extra height down there from Peter Wright paying dividends, and they finally, Matthew Pavlich, send it in along to their forwards and they get a result.
Yeah, well, it took a really good contested mark to finish the work, though. Wright was out early, and then this ball actually ended up with Jones further behind it. That's a strong pair of hands. It ends up being a genuine one-on-one, but a couple of West Coast players probably thinking they could have rolled off and killed that ball over the line.
3 goals in the vid for a practice game. Getting a spot back in the team from the forward pocket. A desperately needed one for Essendon, and Wright produces with his second.
Well, it's a great mark and a great finish, and hopefully that reminds all his teammates that you can get the ball forward. As we have a look at a couple of these tackles, there's the first one right in the middle of Optus,
It's great from your key forward, isn't it?
and moments later it happens straight back to them.
Yeah.
But you're spot on, Pav. Look, the numbers are coming back, and they're all one-on-ones. They've had one-on-ones the whole time, and it forces a great contested mark from Peter Wright to get this opportunity. That's their first mark inside forward 50. The Eagles at the other end have had 5 already this game. I feel like you've got to take the game on, take the risk to score, but you may get scored back on the other way. But if you go slow the whole game, it's going to be hard work.
Well, at the moment, they're going slow, but they're getting sliced on the other end. They're getting split open because they're not defending well and getting set up. So you might as well move the ball quick and then at least get some opportunity to score.
But Wright's kicked both of Essendon's goals. And a free kick here to the Bombers out of the middle. And a handball, though, missed from Setterfield. Martin can make amends. Back for Setterfield, and Wright on the lead.
He's presenting well. So he took that big contested mark, but he might have hurt his knee here. He took a big divot. Hopefully he's not too sore. But he's actually presented this quarter very, very well. Up at the ball, you can see that left knee did take a big piece of the Optus Stadium out. There it is. I'm sure someone at the Masters, if that was Augusta National, will be out there quickly replacing all divots. It's a big chunk, but he's presenting well up at the ball.
Takes all his allowed time. Peter Wright from long range. He's a good kick of the footy, especially from distance. It was Waterman in the first quarter, but now it's a key forward for the Bombers, who's trying to get his side back into it.
Well, he's a delightful finish and has been his whole career. So we go back to the centre bounce. They're so crucial. Just a simple holding, but at least they're trying to move the ball on quicker there. And as you mentioned, Pav, full chest and leading at the kick up. That's good hands. Man on the mark on 50. That's still not further enough to stop him.
You can see he really doesn't alter his lead too much. It's just a traditional old lead from full forward, but at least he's presenting, he's pushing up and he's creating a hole in behind him, even if that ball isn't kicked to him, because Harry Edwards is having to go with him. That's the presence and style of lead that he's putting on at the moment, Peter Wright.
Port inclusion back into this side, and he gets the margin back to 17. Good few minutes here for Essendon as they try to fight their way back. Setterfield was good, opposed to Kelly. Won the footy away. Hobbs now to half forward, and a push, and a down the ground free kick will it be? No, it's going to go back up the wing.
It's getting a bit more ascendancy as this one heads back, as you call perhaps, but out of that centre square bounce. You can see there in the second quarter, 5 zips, so at least their stoppage work's getting on top, but this isn't working for them.
On a good kick towards Gresham. And a free kick whistle advantage is paid. Durham lets it go. It's well across the face. They're better to bring it back in that situation, but the footy will be in the hands of the Eagles deep in defence. Edwards long. He got pushed underneath the contest. Hobbs goes in and under. Jack Williams emerges with it. Got it to Graham. He was dispossessed. Jinby took them on and held it too long.
The tackles are starting to stick. They missed a couple of crucial ones in that first quarter. Essendon, Gresham missed one, Hobbs missed one, but that's better. That's the type of pressure the Eagles have been putting on them.
Wright wants it in long. He's got a match up at the top of the square. Jones, though, looking inboard.
Numbers back everywhere here for the Eagles.
Now it goes wide to the pocket. Marrick can intercept.
Well, it wasn't the right style of kick. Didn't give it to the advantage of Peter Wright trying to come out the football.
Marrick with his 11th disposal. Second most for the Eagles, has found a role in the back line. As now they go aggressively through the corridor. Jimmy's there. Gresham will arrive first and win the footy. Try to shuttle it across to Dersma. Not quite clean enough for them to break away. There's still a chance here though, McGrath. For Dersma, they're being forced backward, corralled and hunted after by Hoff. It's a great kick to Menzies. And he will play on and get past Baker and keep them moving away into the pocket. Caddy was there. McGovern got a fingertip on it. Martin trying to bust through. They've got numbers everywhere. And Shield will finish it off. Bombers come roaring back into it.
So I didn't mind the idea from Baker to kick that one to Jimmy. Jimmy just didn't go hard enough and allow that little split, and Gresham and Co did a really nice job. And the kick from Dersma was a beauty. So that's the one that tears the game up. Have a look at Dylan Shield. He's all by himself. He eventually gets this ball. The ball probably should have gone to him to begin with, but then Martin keeps his cool. And 2 or 3 free. They're out. Once that ball was turned over, it needed to be an Essendon goal by virtue of how many players they had free ahead of the ball. And they're fighting back here.
It's been a great quarter. 5-0 in regards to the clearances. The contested possession game clearly in favour of the Bombers now. 16-6 this quarter. Starting with that contest that's challenged the Eagles this season. Got to get that back on even terms.
3 in a row, margin back to 11. Warning for the 666, and the bounce we will get. Flynn opposed to Wright in the middle. Caught the clearance here. Bombs have been dominating from this position, but Flynn trying to take matters into his own hands. Durham couldn't take it. Harley Reid's in there too. Get that ball up.
Yeah, would have liked to see Flynn just get that one on the boot. Harley Reid was calling hard for the ball, but he had Durham right with him, so get that one on the boot, get it forward.
Right, going to knock it down. Hobbs with a good spin. Shield on a turn left and get it back from Hobbs. And he kicked that one well off the instep. Almost worked for Kako. He goes after it again, creatively just soccering the ball wide. Again, Essendon with some numbers. And they can play that to their advantage on the wing. And pushing it back to Essendon again. They go at it. Harley Reid in there as you'd expect. Caddy getting involved too. Before that little scuffle, there's a push in the back. Down the Bombers way to Kako.
It wouldn't be a week without Harley Reid getting involved in a little scuffle. I don't know how much of it he initiates himself.
Ball sent long. Trying to get under his skin as well. Menzies down there towards the boundary line. Baker wanted it, then kicked it in, and then was tackled over.
I think that's the point opposition sides know, that there's a potential for a free kick because he doesn't take a backward step, which on one hand is a good thing, but on the other hand, it just doesn't need to do something. There's the push. That was the free kick, which I'm sure there's a huge amount of that, but then there was a scuffle afterwards. But the opposition players know they can draw a free kick, so they'll keep going to Harley Reid.
Bombers in a dangerous spot again. Baker's handball only finds Dersma, found some space, and the kick goes across Skulls. Jewell will sit underneath it. They'll go looking for Davis, but Pryor aware of the danger, able to knock it down, keep it inside 450. Martin, Kako combined, back for Martin, good smother by McGovern. And it rolls back over and out.
That's much better defence there by the Bombers. I think it was Pryor that came across to cut that off. The first quarter, that would have gone the length of the field.
Great defence here from McGovern as well. So both teams stepping it up. Challenge and questions have asked of Essendon. They've responded this quarter.
Lifted in the turn. Kako's in there and held up.
Jeremy McGovern up to 13 disposals.
So the clearances this quarter. Bombers right on top, but they're flicking the ball around as well. There's a free kick to West Coast for a hold. Jim Kelly, they're flicking the ball around by hand. So that is inviting some of this pressure from West Coast. If you handball the ball around, you do give the opposition a look at the tackles and the turnovers, and that's what they did in that first term so well, the Eagles.
Kelly long. Flynn had draped over the shoulder of Jones, but no whistle. And away now, the Eagles. Dewar, Davis along the boundary line. Bouncing footy. Ridley attacked it with purpose. Hobbs coughed it up. Graham read it well. And this is where the Eagles have killed off turnover. Waterman for Archery. Good look inside. The overlap run. Baker sends it in deep. One-on-one again. Crips and McGrath. A good battle between those two. McGrath in there. Just a tug of the jumper. Cripps goes again. Third, fourth efforts. Baker involves. Away now to Kelly. Dragged down, affected the kick. Roberts tackled well. On the boot again. Davis's kick goes wide out of behind.
So the kick in from Waterman was a beauty because Essendon had an extra number behind the ball, and then you change your angle and then allow your other forwards to push ahead of the ball and equalise the numbers. He's looking right up for the battle tonight, Jake Waterman.
Third game for Hamish Davis. First start, sub in the first two matches he played. Jones competed well. Menzie out of Perkins. 3 Eagles around him. Good tackle, Hutchinson. Jaden Hunt, Duggan, creative to release Kelly. They'll want Waterman into the pocket. It's just over his head. Well played by Ridley. And they see it over and out.
Yeah, so that might have been the change. Now we saw Mackay early just get torched by that man on screen. 4 goals in the opening term. Ridley looks as though there's been the hand up. It feels as though that's probably the matchup anyway.
Yeah. I think the height comparison's even better. It was 10 centimetres the difference.
Schumer throw in for both rucks. It's knocked back boundary side. McGrath flirting with danger. And it's just pitched and bounced back in. Didn't go over on the full. Boundary up was right there. Jack Williams involved. Ryan, was that a throw? He got it over the top to Duggan. That'll be a ball on.
Liam Ryan is absolutely cackling about how much he just threw that ball, boys. That'll be one of the biggest throws you've ever seen.
He got away with it.
He's still laughing.
Still going.
Another stoppage. Huitt trying to burst through. Roberts, that's a terrific tackle. Huitt was on the charge and Roberts is letting him know about it.
At least he's taking the game on. So, yep, okay, great tackle. And it was an absolute beauty. From Roberts stood up and said, right, I'm going to take you with me. But I like that from Huitt, really pushing through the stoppage here. Look at that.
That was not quite. That's a little volleyball spike or something like that.
It'd be a throw in volleyball as well, perhaps.
Yeah, true.
A throw in any sport. I think it's still going for it.
He tapped it. He didn't throw it. He's saying.
Don't you love it?
He's trying to set it up. As the ball spun back in. Knocked down by Draper. Graham. Trying to find Hutchinson. Durham in there. Could have been taken high. Setterfield now. And the tackling pressure evidence.
All of a sudden, the ball movement's dried up for both teams. It's just gone into a real contest. So we have a look from the Bombers' forward line. You can see what they've got in front of the footy. Duggan sitting 25 metres off this stoppage.
Knocked down by Jack Williams. Graham had nowhere to go.
And this is good for the Eagles as well. This is just about showing some grit and some toughness with the Bombers that have got some hard inside midfielders as well. And there's the best of them as well.
That last picture, the wide frame, they gave you a really nice look of Essendon. So they've got one behind the ball. You can just see at the right of screen there. Ryan's going back to him now, and Duggan's the winger for West Coast. He's free. So in between the arcs, they're trying both teams to have an extra number behind the ball.
Fight from Durham, but the Eagles come up with it. Hutchinson was out of play.
Boys, you've spoken about the change-up on Jake Waterman. It hasn't happened. So Ridley's the one loose behind the ball at the moment. And Mackay's still... Ben Mackay's the man still on Jake Waterman, which I find bizarre given the quarter he had to start this game.
Let's go kicking on the defensive matchups down there.
Might be a simple fact that Brad Scott is going to back in his man. Said he had a job for the week. He knew he was going to play on.
They want Ridley free, don't they? So in these situations, so that's probably why they...
Dersman looked to cop one high. So now with Shield. And the boundary line is there.
So the clearance numbers, we highlighted it early. Let's have a look at this whack. Is there a little...
Thought Dersman got taken high as he went through here.
So 9-1 clearances, but at least as you talked about, Dale, the last minute or so, maybe 2 minutes, the Eagles have just recklessly thrown their bodies at it. Being a bit more desperate in these situations.
Good tackle from Setterfield. Brought that last week with the 10 tackles and 21 touches, just his second game.
Sort of seeing this situation. Ridley's there behind the ball. Duggan's the one, or Brady Hofford is now, who's freed himself up just maybe about 20 metres to the left of this stoppage.
Graham is in his stoppage. Got it to Owies. On the boot quickly. Crips there. Good spoil by Redmond. Well taken by Huitt. Backing out of trouble. Crips was mown down. They'll get another stoppage. Real arm wrestle in the last couple of minutes. Crips and Redmond wrestle with each other here. Archer Reid in the ruck opposed to Draper. Roberts. Set of fields. Wright was bearing down. Affected the kick with the tackle. Hoff couldn't take it. Shield set Perkins. And high contact on the tackle.
It was really interesting when that ball was thrown up. West Coast had 3 numbers behind the footy, so the Essendon players had to really use their numbers coming out of that stoppage, and it's a bit of a let-off when you give that free kick away, because if they're able to equalise or get that ball back, they're out the Eagles.
Arm for Roberts. Now some run for Perkins. He'll go with a long kick inside 50. Kako there, Marek in front. At the spill. Minty important. Jones slaps it back, crosses it to the square. Caddy threw a boot at it. Dangerous action. A desperation from Harry Edwards at the same time to put his body on the line.
Big 5 minutes coming up here for both teams. So we have a look at. It's a good effort just to put your body across that boot.
Swinging foot came through. Cody trying to kick the goal. Edwards did well. Ryan received from Harley Reid. Wants it back as he cruises past. 5 minutes to go till the half. Ryan's going to go all the way back for Hoff. They're free on the outer side on the switch. Duggan was waiting and willing to accept. Davis in short to Owies. Mission build-up. Right across the ground.
Jack Williams all by himself.
All stabbed in short. He spotted it, Pav. And so did Owies. He found Jack Williams just in a pocket of space near the top of the 50.
Yeah, he was just loitering there all by himself for a long period of time, and Owies was about to go long, and Williams was waving his arms around demanding the ball, and it was a really smart kick.
Had to absorb some pressure from Essendon in this quarter. The Bombers have hit the scoreboard. Got the margin back to 11 before this kick. Wow. Jack Williams, a promising young forward. And that is a tidy finish from outside 50. This hopes a bit of the Essendon run in this second term.
He's shown a fair bit when he plays. Jack Williams is only into his 32nd game, and that's 2 goals for him today. He just finds himself in the right spots. That first quarter, right on the goal line, you can see that he's not much to this except for Draper's just dropped off in. He thought he wasn't in a dangerous position, but that's a smart kick in from Owies. And it's smart play from Williams to get into a dangerous position, particularly when you're opposing ruckman. They said, you're not going to get the ball up there. We'll get to a dangerous spot, get used, and kick it outside 50. He's having a good game.
They've done well to find a goal out of that. Being dominated this quarter, the Eagles with the clearances. They're behind the contested possessions, which often means you're in big trouble. Just 3 goals to 2 in favour of the Bombers. Let's have a look at those clearance numbers.
They've been efficient inside field 50, haven't they? 20 inside 50s for 9 shots, 7 goals.
Eagles get a clearance here for Hutchinson. Over the top to release Huitt, who sends it inside 50, wanting Ryan. Pride did well to nudge him underneath it. Archer Reid. He's able to spin inside. Graham. Crips wanted to receive, but Essendon closed it down. Redmond laid out for Dersma. And they can work it up the boundary line. Roberts cuts inboard. Kako hands to it. Eagles press. Bombers still hold possession. Back for Roberts. Cool enough to take his time. Dersma, Redman, look out! Big tackle from Hutchinson. Haven't seen those sorts of tackles stick all season for the Eagles. There was a big one there. And instead of the Bombers surging it forward, means an inside 50 for the Eagles. Don't go in high and long. Flynn claiming it, as was Draper, and the Essendon ruck will take it. Flynn can't believe it. He thought he had first hands to it, or at least a good purchase. Draper best position. Ray was there, he crunched in and infringed. Coming back for Benzie. Around Optus Stadium this afternoon. Good contest. Almost really shell-shocked in that first quarter. Fought back well in this second term. Roberts now finding a bit more space. Setterfield. He can go wide. Ball bounce just in front of Hobbs. Got away from Graham. Sends it inside 50, but ill-directed, and Baker gets back.
There's good pressure once again on the football. Leon Baker to be able to roll back behind the footy. He's had a great first half. Suppose we'll number 6 for the quarter.
Ryan was held.
Yeah, he's been pretty good, Ryan, hasn't he, this quarter? The free kick there, he's been lively. It's been one of the Eagles forwards across the first month of the season or thereabouts that has been solid.
Jake Waterman's behind the ball here. That's how he's getting a touch straight off the bench. He'll be loose for the last 2 minutes.
Kick goes long towards Flynn, who takes it out of the hands of McCullough and claims a mark. Chance for another inside 50 here. Minute and a half on the clock. Kick goes wide. Crips jumps in the best. Redmond lost it in flight. And an uncontested mark to the Eagles veteran.
Brent Scott's had those arms crossed the majority of this first half. A lot of frustration, a lot of things not working. That's a good mark by the big fella down the line. Not his best kick. I'm not sure if he was trying to go to Jamie Crips uncontested in the pocket, but it got there.
Well, it certainly fooled the Bombers defenders.
Absolutely.
Kept everyone guessing. Landed in the lap of Jamie Crips. Had a solid hand up forward in trying times through the start of the season. Normally cashes in. He's been particularly accurate to start the year, but a couple of misses today. Inside 50 count, just switching around in the last 10 minutes. Eagles with a few more opportunities. Ryan with good pressure on the footy. A kick down the line. Hobbs kept it in play. We can run it through Dersma. Still plenty of time for the Bombers, but getting back there, he's done it all up forward. Jake Waterman.
Yeah, this says Andrew McCullough's happy with this half-time lead. He's going to put his best forward behind the football just to make sure the Bombers don't score.
Waterman down the line. Flynn was being held. He's certainly made a physical difference out there, Matt Flynn, in the ruck today. And Bailey Williams, big mark by Pryor going back.
It's a great grab. Didn't know who was coming or what was coming behind him.
Might have hurt himself in the process. And that will get us to half-time. Another look at the terrific mark going back there by Pryor. Essendon fighting back in that second term. Perhaps an injury concern there. The Eagles lead set up by the 4 goals to Jake Waterman in the first quarter. They absorbed some pressure in that term, but they still have the lead at the major break. Bombers fighting hard. Couldn't there be an upset on the cards? An interesting second half coming up soon. We'll analyse all of it when we come back. 18 points, the lead to the Eagles at the major break.
All right, folks, the Eagles leading by 18 points here. The Eagles putting on 2 goals, 3 in that second term. The Bombers, 3 goals, 1. Bombers winning that second quarter. Of course, the Bombers came out pretty strong in that second quarter. Well, the Eagles put one on, and then the Bombers put on the next 3. It looked like the Bombers were going to get right back into the game, but the Eagles held ground well. They took the pressure. Well, it was good to see. They took the pressure and then got the latter part of that game back on their terms, kicking that late goal to stretch the lead back out to 18 points. Tell you what, there's a full crowd in there. They're loving the game. It's a spectacle, absolutely. let's just have a little bit of a look at the live ladder as it stands. Let's have a look at the ladder prior to this game. And of course, if we have a look down here, West Coast Eagles sitting on the bottom of the ladder in 18th position, 5 games played, no wins, 49.7% is their percentage. The Bombers, 13th, played 4, won 2, lost 2. If we turn the live ladder on, let's turn the live ladder on. As the game stands right at the moment, West Coast will jump up from 18th to 17th. Of course, West Coast and Melbourne are yet to win a game this season, but West Coast can go on to victory here if they win, and they'll notch up their first victory. And of course, the Bombers will drop down to 14th. That is the live ladder as it stands. All right, let's just pop on over, have a look at some of the players' stats. Let's have a look at the fantasy points. If you play that game, Jakey Waterman, 84 points up until half-time. Great effort by him. He's having a great game in front of the ball and behind the ball there. Will Settlefield next best on 66. Peter Wright on 60. They're your top 3 in the AFL fantasy points. If you play that game, the goal scorers so far in the game, well, there hasn't been too many goal scorers, folks, on both teams combined. We've had 3 multiple goal scorers. Of course, for the West Coast Eagles, Jakey Waterman still got those 4 goals that he got in the opening term. Jake Williams on 2 goals and Jamie Crips on 1. And of course, for the Bombers, Peter Wright heads the way for the Bombers with 3 straight goals, and Dylan Shield with a single goal. We'll be back with the commentators in just a moment, and they'll give a bit of analysis on the opening half, but let's just have a look at some of the players' stats for everyone out there who follows them. The disposal count, of course, you've got the kicks and then the handballs. That adds up to the disposal count. Liam Baker tops the table out there for West Coast. He leads the way on 14. He's had 8 kicks, 6 handballs, 4 marks and a clearance. He's doing well. Dylan Shield continuing his season's form. He's had 13 up until half time, 7 and 6, kicking 1 goal, 1, couple of clearances. He's doing really well there. Archie Roberts level with him on 13. Of course, Jeremy McGovern a little bit slower in that second term, but doing a good job as it stands with 13 touches there. Let's head on down. We'll have a little bit of a look. Who else is getting the ball? Zach Merritt. He's got 12 possessions so far in the game, 4 kicks, 8 handballs. He's had a couple of clearances as well. Jakey Waterman, Mr. Mullet Man, for the West Coast Eagles, 11 disposals, 10 kicks. He's had a handball now, still with those 4 straight goals with 9 marks. It's fantastic effort up until half-time from Jake Waterman, doing great. Tim Kelly, well, he's only had 10 disposals up until half-time. Still doesn't look like he's in the game much, but we will see. All right, we'll come back and have a look at a little bit more of that in just a moment. We're back with the commentators. They'll give us a little bit of their thoughts on the opening half.
Optus Stadium, and it is the Eagles leading it by 18 points. Perhaps a big upset on the cards. Certainly much different to last week as I go down to Scully and Matthew Papich.
They've been outstanding, the Eagles. Their pressure and their contest work, Scully, has been elite, and I think that's what everyone in the stands has been hoping for. Some level of pressure, some level of effort, and they've certainly brought that so far today.
Yeah, and I have, mate. It's been good. That is down my area as well, perhaps Bell's Beach, but I haven't been in the barrels down there. Look, talking about pressure, there's a bit of a wave here from West Coast, and really that pressure that they're brought and the work rate, we just haven't seen it all year. Like, they won 1 quarter coming into this game for the entire season, and they've gone and knocked off a couple here to start the game. So, yeah, it's been really impressive from West Coast point of view, but Essendon responded that quarter as well.
They certainly did. What the pressure has and the contest work of this team has allowed is 7 marks inside 50, so the most so far this year for the Eagles, and someone who's been the beneficiary has been this man, the big G-train as he likes to call himself, Jake Waterman up forward. 4 goals to start the match, 11 disposals, 9 marks and 7 score involvements.
Yeah, I think he goes by the loose these days. Look, he started brilliantly. Had 7 of those 9 marks in the first quarter. Quiet down a little bit, but West Coast weren't getting it in that second quarter. But this first quarter of footy by Jake Waterman, 4 goals, 7 marks. But they need their senior players to do that, and he is one of those. He's in the leadership group. People have been questioning, well, where is the leaders? Well, that's what a leader does. They stand up when it counts, and that's in the first quarter. So brilliant by Jake Waterman. Got them started, got some momentum behind the crowd. Because they had to start poorly. it would have been a really damp Optus Stadium. So he's gone off to a good start, Pav.
He certainly has. Another player up the other end for the Bombers who really started to get to work is that man on screen, number 20, the big fella, Peter Wright. 3 goals for the Nuts, 2 in that second quarter. Some of his leading patterns were really impressive, Scully.
Yeah, they were. So he's had Harry Edwards on him for most of the day, but a couple of contested grabs, especially in that second quarter. Essendon were nowhere, really. And when that happens and you're not playing your best, again, just like Jake Waterman did in the first quarter, Peter Wright stood up. A lot of this stuff is one-on-one with his opponent. Now, Harry Edwards has probably had a challenging start to the year, but Peter Wright to go and knock them back from outside 50 like that, you can see on his face what it means. That's, as you know, that's what key balls need to do. You get one opportunity to go and kick a goal and you do it, you can bring your side right back into it.
So they did. They started to get on top around the clearance and allowed Peter Wright some free ball up in the forward line. Perhaps fascinating contest down here. Can the Eagles hang on in this second half?
Certainly looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. An 18-point lead it is right now. The footy continues tomorrow, though. The Dockers in action against the D's, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. More footy on its way.
All right, let's get back to the stats and continue to see what your players are up against. All right, where do we get to? Let's just keep on heading. Oh, it was Tim Kelly, wasn't it? Yep, Tim Kelly on 10. Let's keep going down. Harrison Jones there for the Bombers on 8, and of course Andy McGrath on 9. Harley Reid, one of the players we're going to keep an eye out there. A little bit slower quarter there from Harley Reid. Let's hope he gets into the game. We'd love to see him because they're spruiking him as the next superstar, but he really has been a little bit slow this year. I think give him a little bit of time, and I think he'll certainly develop into a great player. But yeah, just the 7 disposals for him so far, Harley Reid. 6 kicks, a handball, couple of marks, couple of tackles. Let's hope for a big second quarter from him. Love to see him get up around the 20-25 disposal count. Give him plenty of ball time out on the ground there today. Jamie Crips there with just 7. Let's roll on down. Sam Draper there, the big ruckman there for the Bombers. He's just had the 6, 3 and 3 handballs, 3 kicks, 15 hit outs, and of course 1 clearance from the big man there. There we go. As we head on down. All right, Nate Caddy's not doing much there up forward there for the Bombers. 3 disposals, 1 kick, 2 handballs. That is it. No score, of course. And of course, the other ruckman there, Matty Flynn there for the West Coast Eagles. He's up to 9. And of course, 4 kicks, 5 handballs, 5 marks, 1 tackle, 13 hit-outs is the big man. Let's just have a little bit of a look at the team stats, folks, as we're going. Mark, how you going? Welcome in. Pretty tight game here. I know it's 18 points of difference at the moment, but on disposal count, it's only 18 the difference. 160, 178. Essendon do that game, don't they? A little bit, as we all know, Essendon. They do chip it around a little bit and rack up the stats. That's why That's why they've always got a high number count there. 397 is their average stat count. That's huge compared to 299 of the Eagles. Good to see the Eagles going above that at the moment. Kicks pretty similar. Handballs 20 plus 21 to the Bombers. Inside 50s. Good to see West Coast above average this year because that average of 41, they need to lift that throughout the course of the year. 24 inside 50s. They've had 10 scoring shots. And of course, 21 inside 50s for the Bombers, who are under on 7 scoring shots as well, so they need to lift as well. Disposal efficiency, I should say, around the ground. West Coast on song for their season average. Essendon going a little bit low, and of course efficiency inside 50, 45, 38. There we go. Free kicks 13 to 17. Of course, the home team never likes when the opposition has more kicks, but there's only 4 in it. Some of the free kicks are a little bit dodgy. Some may not have been given. That's just the way game footy goes. 18 to 20 in their hit-outs, both ruckmen having their opportunity. Of course, clearances, the Bombers doing a lot better in that aspect. +7 there. Centre clearances, Bombers dominating out of the centre as well. Eagles need to find a way. I think they were struggling also the last few weeks in that stoppage clearances. Bombers +3 there. Contested, uncontested, not a great deal difference there. And of course, turnovers up on average as we speak. 48-43 the marks. Marks inside 57-2. Eagles in front there. As I said, they were finding the target. Jake the Mullet. Waterman, he took a few good grabs down there in the forward. 57-2 for the Eagles. Contested marks, both not too bad around the ground. There we go. Just looking at the tackles, both teams tackling reasonably well. Both teams are putting reasonably good pressure on each other. Tackles inside 50, 5-4. There we go. Let me just recap. Let me just recap the games so far we've had in round 6. Of course, Thursday night. I think now the premiership favourites, Collingwood, absolutely demolished the Brisbane Lions up there at the Gabba. 105-53, and of course the other game that was played today, Carlton absolutely gave North Melbourne a shellacking, 153-71. Big winners to Carlton today, which was great to see. All right, folks, we'll be back in just a moment. The commentators are back on track. And then hopefully they will take us into the second half. In my humble opinion, the odds would still be in favour of the Bombers. I'll tell you what, you know what, it could well be, but I do like the way the Eagles are actually playing today. Most players are out there and they're giving it a red hard crack. It's not like players are, dropping their heads at the Eagles, etc. like that. The Eagles are out there to play today. It'd be interesting to see. The Bombers do overuse the posies. Exactly right, and get annoying, but it's what it suppose. You know what was so annoying when they always used to just kick backwards and backwards and backwards. I don't know. Maybe they should change the rules so the last quarter, if you kick backwards, it play on. That would be an interesting rule. I know we don't like to change rules, of course, but that would be an interesting rule. And of course, especially in those tight games when they just kick backwards and backwards and backwards. Yeah, that's annoying. They're outstanding in the first quarter, kicked the first goal of the second, and then the Bombers kicked 3 on the trot, and it seemed like here goes, but no, they knuckled down and tackled hard. I mean, that's the difference. That was the difference. Essendon certainly came at the Eagles hard in that part of the second term. The Eagles stood firm, withstood that, and it was good because the Bombers put that together in quick succession. And sometimes when it's like that, they can put on a spurt of 6 or 7 goals and do that. But the Eagles certainly withstood that pressure quite well, and it was good to see them, the Eagles, then get the next goal, steady the ship, going into three-quarter time or going in at half time, 18-point. Leaders here, so it's it's going to be a fantastic third term again. It's going to be one of those things. Can the Eagles continue their form? I think I think they might. The Eagles look full of run at the moment. It looks like they got a little bit more run than the Bombers, and of course the Eagles forward line looks a little bit more damaging going up there, especially with Jake Waterman. He's been the leading target up there quite a few times. And his hands are like they got glue stuck to him when the ball comes, and he's just not missing anything. I said 4 goals up until half time. Jakey Waterman, it's a good sign there for the Eagles. Let's hope he can continue his way. And of course, the Eagles back have been defending really well. So it's going to be interesting. Can the Bombers get any part of momentum swing going for long enough where they can draw level with the Eagles and put their nose in front, and then it's a game on our hands, and then it'll all be in the minds of the West Coast Eagles players. Are they going to fight, or are they going to go, you know what, this is just getting a little bit too hard? But I like what I'm seeing from the Eagles today. They've been impressive to my eye from what was seen of them throughout the season so far. But yeah, my tip is still the Eagles, even though most people would think the Bombers would be strong. Of course, in the poll today, we've got the Bombers 56% winning in the vote here today. 59%. So most people still do think the Bombers are going to win this game. But yeah, I think my tip was the Eagles from the get-go. I think the early people who came in saw that, I said, I'll pick the Eagles today. You just got that feeling over there in Perth. Sometimes the Eagles can really give a spark. A little bit like Fremantle. And when you got that home crowd behind you and you get a few things right, the home crowd can certainly urge and spur you on and get the blood flowing in the players, and that can just give them that extra 5 or 10%, which sometimes that's all they need. But you don't see them playing any worse. However, the Eagles could drop off. Well, exactly right, the Eagles could drop off. As I said, just depends on their mental capacity, how they're going to handle this second half. Are they going to continue, or will they let the Bombers give the Bombers another sniff and get up to them and level peg, hit the front? It could be a different story if the Bombers end up hitting the front. We'll see the grit that the Eagles have got. Anyway, that's enough of me talking. Let's get back down to the ground, and they will. I'll let them take us into the bounce of the ball for the third quarter. Where is the Eagles by 18?
On the ball and at times today, so that's been our biggest focus, and we'll continue that for the second half.
Your senior players are standing up. Waterman, McGovern, Graham. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, look, these guys had a meeting during the week, our senior players, just to talk about their responsibility of the football club, and we're seeing what they're delivering today.
Changing anything for the second half, or same plan?
Yeah, same formula. We're just going to try keep putting pressure on the ball and trying to take away their uncontested marks as much as we can. Good luck. Thanks, mate.
Andrew McQualter there with Will Schofield. Interesting saying that the senior players had that meeting during the week, just trying to set what their brand is, and we did see a response today.
All well and good to mate, but then you've got to perform, you've got to put it into action, and they certainly did that down in the first half.
Yeah, I love the pressure, and that was the question about the Eagles is, could they be better than last week? And we sit here at half-time and said absolutely. And sometimes it's hard to measure what pressure looks like, but it was immense pressure, as Andrew McQualter just touched on. It was the tackles, it was the contested possession, sputters, the chase downs, and just the little spoils. But if nothing else, it's been the bravery with their ball movement, particularly off the half-back line. They're not waiting for anyone, and this is a great example. Last week they'd be trying to find something perfect. This is get that football forward, put the Bombers' defence under pressure. Waterman's already off to the races. That's a sprint back to goal. Forces the Bombers to try and be accountable, and they just can't cover it over and over again. So it's been a fantastic first half by the Eagles. They've kept the Bombers to 4 goals. Just a little moment like that. That's the sort of stuff, Pat, you show on a Monday morning in your review. Say, hey, you want to play senior football? You want to play this football club? This is the non-negotiable. I love what Andrew McQualter has stood for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you can hear them, as you can see, the contested possession. What are they? What's that? 13 off where they were last week after a total game. So, and you heard McQualter there at half-time talk about the fact we want to take away Essendon's gun. We want to get up on them. We want to turn the ball over. We want to pressure their uncontested mark game. Well, they've done it for a half. Absolute massive tick to the Eagles scouting, and then the players to go and deliver it for a half. Can they match it for full 4 quarters?
And then perhaps from a Bombers perspective, it's more of the clearance work. The one area that they have absolutely dominated and controlled, particularly in that second quarter, is the field position off their clearance work. They must maintain that dominance to then get better looks at the football going forward. Just the 4 goals. And outside of Peter Wright, there hasn't been a lot of other players in that front half that's looked overly threatening just yet.
They haven't been able to score from that stoppage dominance. Only 1 goal, 2 from that area of the game. So opportunity for them in the second half to get to work in that area.
Well, expecting Essendon just to roll up, get the 4 points, but the Eagles have certainly come to play as we're underway in the second half. Essendon and West Coast at Optus Stadium as they go out of the middle. And the free kick will go the Bombers' way, so they'll get it out of the centre to start things in this third term. Centre fields. Possibly could have recalled that bounce in the middle, but a kick from Setterfield goes high. McGovern, tailor-made for him to spike it away. Harley Reid beelined it and then crunched into Durham. Wrapped him up strongly again. So big-bodied midfielders going at it.
Just the 7 disposals for Durham in the first half.
Having a good season today. Graham with a high fend perhaps on merit. Allowed to get away with it. Kelly, Ryan, now Crips with some run and dash. He wanted some help though. And caught holding the ball.
Yeah, the extra number behind the ball from the Bombers made Crips run and carry that one rather than release him with a kick.
Now off off the turnover. Essendon can go. Ryan gave a good chase. Redmond's delivery to Draper.
Good pair of hands from Draper. That was bulleting him, rocketing him.
And he'll feed it away back to Redmond. There's a long kick of the footy. It's working back. It's tight. It's into the woodwork.
They were great hands. And then Draper was like a slips catch with two hands. It was on a pure flight of the football.
We've spent plenty of time forward and having to do the majority of the ruck work. Bit of a switch for Essendon after a Brian injury last week. And Tim Kelly with the football. I suppose the number 12 coming up. Stabs the pass towards Flynn. Draper with the spoil, but back towards an eagle in Graham. Twist and turn, wanted Waterman. He's just gone over his head and it spills away and over the boundary.
So we'll keep a close eye on that Waterman matchup. Spoke about Ben Mackay had him for the majority of the first quarter. 4 goals was the result.
Yeah, Ridley looks like he is the one to go to him now. Mackay's the one that's free behind the ball.
Flynn knocks it down, Dersma to Merritt. Got to find it through to Martin. Over the top to Gresham. Run down by Baker. Carried forward a touch in the tackle. Spills through legs. Graham, Jaden Hunt. Now Kelly. Setterfield's got him. Another strong tackle.
He's had 7 of them so far, Setterfield. Spoke about him off the top about how balanced he is with their midfield. His performance last week, Pav.
He had 10 last week, didn't he? So he's following it up, backing it up, and one of the players in that first half was certainly having a dip for the Bombers.
Harley Reid's handball to the advantage of Baker, who bursts through a tackle, chips it up, and a push and a down the ground free kick is going Ryan's way. He'll take it inside 50.
Well, they've done very well all night. It's been really efficient inside their forward half. So 23 inside, so 25 inside 50s now for 10 shots a goal versus the Bombers about the same and only 8 shots. So it's the difference in the game right now. They're taking their opportunities in their front half.
Ryan was claiming the mark regardless. Directly in front. And Ryan, he was goalless in both games against the Bombers last year. He's missed that one. Disappointed.
I'd say he took that very casually, but that is his normal kicking style.
And a pretty accurate kick. Maybe disappointed not to convert there. Ridley will bring the ball back in. And not 15. We've seen so often to start this season, those short kicks into the back pocket. Ridley will get it back. Zach Reid had to take the contact from Flynn. That's a terrific mark with a big ruckman bearing down. And McGrath. The run of Redmond. Got an extra number. Up over the wing, Martin. Feeds it to Durham. Ran into some trouble though. Draper with a big turn. Gets it through. Martin continued to roll forward. Harley Reid got back to knock it down. Now he's got Gresham. Did well to get the arms clear. Menzies away. Wright takes his time to convert. The Bombers get it done for the first of the third term.
They almost sold themselves into some trouble a couple of times. The Bombers forward handball, but there was at least someone always turning up in their vision, always there to say, okay, if you're going to be tackled, I'm here. That's 4 for Peter Wright. Here's a couple of examples of it. So first give there, sold him into trouble. There's a forward handball. Draper has looked lively at times. There's another player that just turned up in the nick of time and there was enough pressure. There's another example of it. Eagles defence all at sea. And then Wright just calmly put her over his left shoulder. Eagles defence all at sea. And then Wright just calmly put her over his left shoulder.
Great return to action for Peter Wright. 4 goals. Margin is 12 as ball's tapped down. Away with it with Draper. Little handball through. Durham on the boot. Bouncing footy up to Wright. Well taken, and then Dersma can burst his way through. Can think about the goals, but it's across the face. Maybe had runners on the inside, but it's out of bounds on the full.
Just couldn't get his angles right there, trying to get on his preferred right foot. But once again, as Pav just touched on, that handball, trying to get the ball. That's bad, as you said.
Bad mistake from Jaden Hunt. He coughs the footy up, straight back to Essendon. Dersma to take it. Think about the set shot here, pushing off the fence. Another step over some of the equipment. In the pocket, he's just going to lay it up. And some tall targets down there. It's brought to ground off the hands of Kako. Baker, Jaden Hunt away, Huitt, and now Hoff. And this is where the Eagles want to get rolling. Baker on the boot. Another big one-on-one. McGrath and Crips have been in that situation a few times. McGrath wins this little battle. And he'll get it back off the 1-2. Send the Bombers out towards Menzie, who turns Duggan with ease in the end. Went boundary side, and he stings it inside 50. McGovern with strength. Not Cuddy out of it. And now Flynn is back there. Trying to fill the space. McGrath and Crips again. Crips almost marked it. After the spoil around the back. They scrap for it ground level. Redmond, Durham, Martin. Back for Draper. Martin, and a short pass. We'll find Dersma.
Not quite carrying Jack a bit, but we have seen McGrath and Crips a couple of times.
Thinking the same thing.
Empty the 50. As Dersma sends it in. Right. Such a presence. Flynn was desperately trying to get there, but he got away from his defenders. And he can go back and, as I said before, Nick Del Santo's a great kick from long range.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful technique. And that technique can extend outside the 50-metre arc, which means his range and the need to defend him honestly. And he's been an absolute handful from the first quarter.
An inclusion he's been into the side for this week. Injury just in the pre-season as Jim Big Rappy hooks it across the face. Didn't hit that one well at all. McGovern able to go to Hoff.
Just thinking about the way that they might have to defend Peter Wright now and have McGovern as the aerial support at all times.
Hoff, just go up the line. Flynn best position, off the hands of Jimby. Huitt, some explosive power. Jaden Hunt set up Kelly with a tough handball. Mark disrupted it. Graham, Flynn, Jack Williams. Eagles with the extra numbers here as they slice their way through. Hewitt's back involved again. Away to Kelly, surging to 50. Into the pocket. Waterman almost in the fingertips. Late spoil and desperation by the Bombers' defence. And that's when the Eagles have looked their best, when they've been able to get out and run like that.
Absolutely, perhaps it's a good goal, as we said, inside 50s. Essendon with 6, getting the ball in for their front half this quarter. But yep, when they get out, the Eagles, they look threatening.
Benro throwing Merritt. Away for Shield. Dersma kept his feet. And Jaden Hunt went to ground. He pinballed off a couple too. And the Bombers keep it in play. They gain territory, but nothing up the line. Off was well set up. Shares with Marek. Oates. That's what's presented to him.
Yeah, you can see Essendon pretty well set up now. They've been able to pop into some space, given
Good work rate again from Waterman. Those surging leads. 100 metres, he's tracking to try to get the footy. He sends it in. Archer Reed hands to it. Zach was right next to him. Ball to grounds. Draper, Merritt, a good tackle, and will keep the ball inside 50 for West Coast.
Archer Reed, really like the look of him. He presents well, he tackles well. Waterman was the one that really just sliced that open. The Essendon players are actually popping into space in a bit of a zone, but and hard leading for Waterman. Working a treat.
Jones off the shins of Menzie, lost out to Owies, and goes wide and finds Ryan.
It's a really neat kick just to maintain possession.
Missed one earlier on this quarter from pretty much directly in front, about 35, 40 metres out. He glance at the clock to see how much time he's got left on the approach. Missed the easy one earlier on in this quarter. Gives himself half a chance at the difficult angle, but he's always heading to the near side. So one goal in this turn, going Essendon's way. Redmond goes right up the middle. Draper again competing. Jack Williams there too. Graham tackled well by Caddy, but he just got it clear to Jimby. Across now to Marek. Short pass. Paid to Huitt. Ball hit the deck and Draper couldn't take it. Redmond a clean pick up. Pressure from the Eagles again. Crips to Kelly. Handball was knocked away. Roberts fighting hard. Back through some trouble. To Shield, to Roberts. The door opens for Kelly. Look away handball. Releases Jaden Hunt. The forward pressure again from West Coast evident. And it results in a goal.
Off the back of that pressure, Paps. The 7th tackle of the quarter. Tim Kelly starting to get to work. It's just moments of class. So here's the pressure. They're in the face of the Bombers. Kelly strikes without even looking. Oh, it's Hunt on his left who just finishes it perfectly.
That's that pressure, isn't it, down though? Tackle after tackle, keep it in your front half, create a half chance, and then you're right. Classy handball from Kelly. He's had the 16 disposals. He's also had a number of tackles and contested possessions. He's responded after being dropped. That's an important goal for the Eagles.
Goal each way in this quarter. Grant certainly riding every piece of it. Hewitt's been busy in this term, and he'll get it back here. Bursting out of the centre. Across now to Owies, firing at goal, trying to whip it back. But not enough. Almost 2 quick ones.
That's one of the only ones that have been able to get out of the centre square and from a stoppage play, and geez, they look dangerous on that occasion. And when they have tackled and pressured well, turning the Bombers' defenders and midfielders around and going the other way, that's been their strength tonight.
Usually Hewitt starting to build into it. His ability to break away. Wright's there with McGovern. Knocked down. Duggan clean take. Harley Reid. And then he get going past Hobbs. Showed too much of the footy. McGovern desperate for it. Dersman's in there. They'll push and shove again.
So tell you what, boys, just down here on the boundary. There's another goal to West Coast. Just watch for the scarves in the crowd. There's a fair bit of movement down here looking for the big wave. Kevin Sheedy started quite a long time ago.
The Eagles are trying to fire that up again pre-game. Crowd getting into it. Throw there. Huitt in the tackle. 20-point lead to West Coast. Midway through this third term. At the line. Marked dropped by Duggan. Take it over again. I suppose it's pretty even in this third term.
The clearance battle here, so it's on centre wing. We've only had 12 clearances all match, West Coast. So they're doing so well to be able to score off turnover when the Bombers are just absolutely taking them down at clearance. They just haven't been able to score from these situations.
Shield and McGrath. McGrath provides some drive. With a long high ball to the advantage of Wright. Open forward line here for Essendon if he wants to go. And wheels around, goes to the open pocket. It's beautiful delivery and well crafted to Caddy.
We just highlighted down, didn't we, the fact that the Bombers haven't been able to score from a stoppage, so they've finally been able to get a shot at goal. Talk about their dominance. They're plus 12 in that area, but only got the 1 goal from their stoppage work tonight.
Multiple goals in his last 2 games. For the first time in his short career so far. Matt Caddy searching for his first tonight, but that one booking away.
It's been a little bit quiet this evening. Just his second kick of the night. See Harley Reid bringing the ball back in from fullback.
Moved all around the ground in recent weeks. McGovern stings a kick to half-back. He was trying to fight Wright. Well read by Martin. And he can pump it back inside 50 for the Bombers. He wants Hobbs. There's too many Eagles back there, though, to be able to take a mark. And Duggan pushes it well innocently away for a behind.
It was just telegraphed a bit too much, wasn't it, there? So when players were out, they were almost leading a bit too early, and Martin wasn't back off his marking time. Once he kicked along, McGovern and co wrapped that one up, or at least got it across the line.
It was a bit more of the footy in the last 10 minutes. Off the hands of Flynn, Huitt. Again, Arbiter over. Will right around and goes long to a one-on-one. Wright's back there to play the role of defender against Jack Williams. It spills to Owies. Now to Jaden Hunt. He's got players on the open side. He goes instead for Archer Reid with time to chip it in short for Jack Williams.
Well, they worked their way through that meticulously. Did it well, giving themselves a tough angle off the back of it. Really enjoyed Hewitt's quarter. He's had up to 7. Being clean, being creative.
He looks powerful at his best, doesn't he?
Yeah.
They're really starting to hit his straps. Plenty of injuries, but you can see the type of player he can be.
2 goals already this evening for Jack Williams. Tough kick from here. Too tough, in fact. 19 points. Eagles jumped Essendon in the first quarter. They're trying to fight their way back in. The pressure again. Is it a mark paid to Huitt? Good hands in the air. It was coming at him with speed.
They've seen that a number of times where the Bombers still want to kick it short, find the uncontested mark, but when you're under that much heat, as Ryan put Ridley under extreme pressure, kicking it 20 metres to a one-on-one isn't the option.
First game back since the derby from outside 50. He was confident he had the boot. And he gives that a real roost. Elijah Huitt providing a big spark in the third term. There's a player they've been keen to see the best of, but has been hampered by injuries for the short time in his career. Showing what he could do there, but this proves a costly turnover.
Yeah, there's 3 options to go down forward. He's gone for the shortest one. It's a 50-50, and we heard Andrew McQualter at half-time say, if we're up on our players, if we're turning the ball over, we give ourselves a chance, and here's the power that this young man possesses. He's pretty happy, and rightly so. That's a great finish.
This was the banner. I'm just trying to get
Did they?
the players, the fans into the rivalry of Sheedy v Holthouse. Just a bit of a spell check issue.
I'm not a Rhodes scholar, but that doesn't look right to me, perhaps.
Larry's getting ripped up, certainly.
It's been a great it has been a great quarter by Hill. We just spoke about it. That's his 8th disposal.
Out of the middle, knocked down by Draper. Big concerns now for Essendon. They have to win it out of the centre, and they do through Shield. Driving ball into the pocket, and Perkins on the lead. Took contact, but most importantly took the footy. And a chance for Essendon to immediately respond.
As a sizzler from Dylan Shield coming out of the centre square bounce. They just need some reward for their effort around the ball. They've been dominant in clearance work and centre square bounce work, but they haven't been able to get this. Someone out to hit a target. They need a goal here.
Perkins for the immediate response. Very clean on the finish. A vital goal for Essendon.
Well, it's a fantastic response. It's the one that they needed. They're 9-3 in the centre square bounce clearances. Keep a close eye on here on Dylan Shield. This is contested footy. Just puts his head over the footy, goes in one way and then comes out the other. It's a great spin move on Tim Kelly. And finds Perkins leading with McGovern right on him as well. Bottom of screen. Gives him a clear path to where he wants the football. And then hits it hard.
Yeah.
The Bomber supporters looking to people like Perkins and a few of these next crop that are coming through to support the mainstays and a couple of their superstars. They need more weighted numbers.
Kicked the 18 goals in 2023, 5 last year. Branchy Perkins as the Bombers get it out of the centre again. Caddy in a wrestle, spills out the back. Kako was threatening. McGovern didn't tackle Perkins. Still involved. A chance here. Perkins, 2 in quick succession. Produces some brilliance.
Well, they haven't been able to get closer than about that 3-goal margin, but again, this weight of numbers from the centre square bounce. It's 10-3 now, and finally they get a little bit of reward for effort. Perkins with 2 in a row. It's really smart work out here from both Perkins, but the work from Merritt to get the ball there forward. Here's the recovery. This is so important as a forward. Push McGovern out the way, win, made a contest. Here you go, get straight back up, get into your work again, and snap a goal. It's a classy finish.
Will Schofield on the boundary.
Boys, Jay Gresham is the man out of the game. Mel Hawley into it onto a wing. They need that run, Essendon.
So a sub being made for the Bombers. McGrath kicks to space, bouncing footy. Davis is there, or Hawley straight into the action. And he collided into Jimby, who's still down on the boot for Essendon, up towards Caddy. Desperation on a lunging spoil from Harry Edwards.
It was a good spoil. There's Al Hawley. He's just come on the ground, did some nice things last week.
They caught one straight away as well.
He's welcome. Straight into it. You look at those clearance numbers. You touched on it before, Pat. It's amazing the Eagles are in this position given the dominance by the Bombers.
No ruck there for Essendon, and then Flynn got in the back of Durham. So with those sorts of numbers, you sort of wait to see when that is going to actually translate into scoreboard impact for Essendon. The last couple in the game. McGrath chipped the ball out wide. Zach Reed pushing up. Searching for an option. Around the back, Pryor into the hot spot. Contest, Edwards a big spike away. It landed with Hobbs though. Handball backwards, it's McGrath on the burst. Off balance, made good connection though. He just missed. They are pressing hard now, Essendon.
They are, and that's what clearance gives you. So it's not always about scoring from clearance, but it allows you to get field position and then repeat entries and to put pressure on the opposition. It also forces the opposition, if they are going to move the football, they're moving it from their back half, which is really difficult to go the length of the field.
Jaden Hunt with a long kick. Land on the head of Flynn, who almost managed to find it. Mackay across to centre field. Just missed Menzie with a handball. This is where West Coast are pressing nicely to win the footy back. Harley Reid got it from Kelly. Just a blasting kick forward. It'll bounce its way into the forward pocket. Kick here will be paid. Insufficient intent. Andrew McConta. I'm not sure he agreed. Minutes till three-quarter time. Good kick out for Merritt. In short to Hobbs. Trying to chip their way through. Stab pass for Durham. Went through the hands, but Merritt was there to mop up the spill. High kick. Draper well positioned. And good strength. Flynn was trying to find his opponent. Draper stood tall. Paid the mark. And we'll go back.
Now, will the go is around the corner, that as is what he normally does from close in. Down,
He has to.
Yeah, it looks that way,
I
doesn't
think
it?
he has to. I looked at some of his numbers during the week. He's like, somehow. I don't know how this is physically possible. He's better like this.
Very deliberate. Look at that.
As long as it works, it doesn't matter how you get it to go through. It's working brilliantly for Draper, who wants to silence the crowd, and the Bombers are right back in it. So there's a big call back at the other end with Harley Reid, just that dump kick forward that went out of play.
What do you think now?
Insufficient intent.
Well,
There's no one there, is there, from an Eagles perspective? So
by definition, no, there isn't. But this is a play going long down the line that he kicks half a tall.
I think as ex-players, you think he's just getting that inside forward 50 and
Yep.
that because it was so close and it probably floated to the boundary line. It is there, the umpire making that call. But what they did really well then on the Bombers on rebound was spread the ball, change some angles, and then get that outnumber. Push the back, perhaps?
Well, he's allowed to hold that space, isn't he?
Yeah. The double action is exactly what the umpire's looking for. So to hold in the space.
That's why it's a legitimate mark. We'll see another 666 warning. 3 minutes to play. Eagles lead back to 6. Essendon have been so good at the clearances. Draper with a hit out. Hutchinson will win this one though for the Eagles. Floats a kick towards the 50. Mackay got there first but spilt it. Now McGraw's just giving them some drive in this turn. Dersma has to retreat. Back for Mackay. Off a step up the line. Jimby was there. Flynn not paid the mark. It was off a few sets of hands, perhaps. But now the Bombers can pounce again. Kako looks up. He's got options, and Perkins has got a hot hand in the third turn.
Oh, sometimes they pay those. It might have bubbled, but often I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Looked a mark, didn't it?
It
From
did.
up here.
Locals don't like it.
Let's have another look. Flynn makes good position. Jinby, maybe there was. You're right though, they're often paid. Is it Jimby's hand over the top that maybe? That's a tough one, but it opens the door for Perkins.
It's two Archers and an Archer out there this evening. Perkins has been the one on target. That's a poor kick across the face, but there's a hole going to Peter Wright.
Wow.
When that ball is just going to go innocently away and out of play, the Eagles fans are furious.
With me. Ruben, stay there. We're going to 4 metres. That's it. Let him stay there. Stay there.
Wasn't quite inspired by Harley Reid, but there was certainly some signalling going on from the crowd. And Peter Wright is given the free kick in the pocket, and he converts. Scores are level just before three-quarter time.
Well, the locals are not happy. That's 5 for Peter Wright. Let's have a look at the no mark. We've seen these ones paid time and time again. Yes, there's a hand there from Jimby. The umpire was right there, so well done to him to play on, but you can see those ones plenty of times. There's a free kick. Now, the arms were around, and we have seen umpires pay those a lot this year. Harry Huitt locks arms or puts the arms around, should I say, Peter Wright. There's not a huge amount in that doubt.
No, and there's also no need for it at all.
Yeah.
They would have known that he was going to get aerial support from one, if not two, teammates coming over the top. It's one thing to hold your player down for the intercept mark, but no need to even put yourself in that situation.
5 goals to 2 in this third term.
They're owning this centre square bounce, aren't they?
Back to level pegging. Draper down. Huitt. Got a push, and we'll get the free, and they'll take the advantage. As they roll through the centre circle. Kelly, long ball in. Essendon had it covered. Redmond, McGrath, Ryan trying to drag him down. Draper, Merritt. Be a hot finish to this third term. 90 seconds or so remaining till three-quarter time. Kako tackled to the ground. That'll be 50. Almost. It looked like it was about to be paid. They didn't need to bring him to ground.
Been impressed with Ian McGrath's game to this point. He's up to 22 disposals. Had a lot of those one-on-ones with Crips, which we've touched on.
It's been a good battle, hasn't it? But yeah, he has.
It's been his rebound as well,
Yeah.
Pav.
Yep.
Dersma. Towards the 50. Right to compete again. Flynn will claim this one. And the crowd will enjoy it.
That's this bunch. Bit of a sarcasm or sarcastic clap behind.
It's time if the Eagles want to try to pull the trigger and find a score. Was it not a 15 for Reid? And he's strong enough to get away. Righty Huitt, he tried to step. A fan tackle, holding the ball. Turnover, dangerous spot here. No, boundary 3. Must have just got a handball away. Essendon owning the footy in the last 10 minutes, and the pressure right up. Flynn down. Draper crashed in. Shield ripped to the turf.
So 17 seconds to go here. Make it 15 as the clock. Tick maybe a little bit after the blow of the whistle, but opportunity for the Bombers from this area.
Knocked down. Durham leads the ball forward. Merritt to try and run onto it. Baker wants the boundary and finds it.
So still time here, Dow, and the players will probably know there's not a huge amount of time left. So red alert if you're West Coast defenders here and midfielders. Lock on. get body on, but maybe trying to set up one last little hook around here from the ruckman's hip if you're an Essendon player.
Essendon a chance on their 50. Wright knocked it down, but it'll be cleared away by Jaden Hunt. Draper will take the mark, but that will do it. 3/4 done. Cannot split them. Fans making some noise. Is he going to go around the corner from the wing? Just tips it forward instead. And that is 3/4 time. Massive final quarter coming up. The Eagles searching for their first win of the season. The Bombers have fought their way right back into it as he turned for home. Scores are level.
Oh, well, folks, look at this. We got scores all level here at 3/4 time. The Eagles 9-7, the Bombers 9-7. The Bombers booting 5 goals, 4 in that third term. Eagles 2 goals, 4. Could those wobbly kicks cost them? Tell you what, there was a couple of iffy decisions in that quarter that led to an Essendon goal. Whew, I tell you what, this is going to be a ring-a-ding-ding final quarter here. Who's going to win? Now we're going to see what the Eagles are made of, because the Bombers, although the Eagles tried their best to stop the momentum of the Bombers there, the Bombers looked full of running. I tell you what, this is still anyone's game. The Eagles haven't given up. It's just that the Bombers got a little bit of momentum in that third term. We aren't all tied up again. Oh, I tell you what, folks, we are in for a fantastic final quarter that starts in just a couple of minutes' time. Oh my gosh. There we go. And just looking at the comments, no comments to read out so far. I still see the poll, who's going to win this game. 61%. Is that going to grow? Is that going to grow to the Bombers or not? I tell you what. I don't know. My head thinks Essendon, but I've got to. I don't know. I still want, my heart says the Eagles to get up and win this game. I really like them to get up and win this game. I like the Eagles as a football team. I've always liked the Eagles. They just need a little bit more luck. I think they withstood the pressure there, even though they gave up an 18-point lead in that third term. The Eagles, I think they've been the better side all day at the moment, but the Bombers certainly did have a couple of spurts throughout the second and third term there. When the Eagles kicked that second goal, I thought, there we go. Then out of nowhere, Perkins kicked 2 on the trot, and the momentum changed, and there was a couple of I don't know. I thought iffy decisions. I thought the West Coast player marked the ball, but was called play on. Of course, it was snapped down to an Essendon player who had shot on goal, kicked the goal, and then there was the Liam Ryan one where he was pretty much directly in front, maybe 25 metres out, missed, and it went back down, and the Bombers scored a goal. So that was like a 2-goal turnaround there. So in hindsight, West Coast should have still been about maybe 15 points up. But a couple of, unsavoury things happened. And, of course, we're all tied up here at 3/4 time. But I tell you what, we're in for a fantastic final quarter. Let me just... there we go. Peter Wright heads away on the goals now. He's kicked a bag of 5 for the Bombers. Jake Waterman still on for... Yet to add to his tally since quarter time. Jake Williams on 2, Archie Perkins on 2. Disposal count, Andy McGrath, top 4, all for the Bombers. Andy McGrath on 22. Nick Martin, 20. Dylan Shield, Zach Merritt, 19. Of course, the best for West Coast Eagles. Jack Graham on 19. McGovern, 18. Tim Kelly, 18. Although Kelly's had 18, I tell you what, he hasn't had much of an impact on this game so far. The other player we're going to try and keep an eye on was Harley Reid. Look, he's given it a bit of a crack, Harley Reid. Still needs to put in a little bit more. He's had 13 possessions. All right, we are back to the commentators. All right, folks, enjoy the final quarter of this really, really entertaining game between the West Coast Eagles and the Bombers over there at Optus Stadium. 61 points apiece. We've got a quarter to play. Can the Eagles finally find a way to win and get off, pretty much off the bottom of the ladder for their first victory? Or can the Bombers spoil the Eagles' party and take home a victory? All right, let's get back down to the ground, and they'll take us into the bounce of the ball for the final quarter, where it's all tied up here at Optus Stadium.
in general. But let's have a look at, often when midfield coaches talk, they talk about owning the circle. Well, let's have a look. That's they owning the back half, or at least a quarter of this circle. The way the ball is hit there from Draper, but then the way the Essendon players are actually able to get back onto the ball. They've scored 3 goals from centre square bounce. And here's another example of it, but this time it's the top third of the square, or of the circle they own. So you can see here, right side of your opponent, Essendon players, all well positioned there. They're the first ones to strike, and then they're able to get it out of the centre square. So in general, this strength, they haven't been able to capitalise on it in terms of scores from stoppages, but it really started to work in that third term.
See if those numbers continue in the last quarter. We get down to Will Schofield. There's plenty of noise out there. The crowd really invested in this one.
Yeah, it is. Perhaps I'm looking forward to this scores level at three-quarter time. I don't think that was anything on anyone's bingo card coming into this one, but that's where we're at. And probably from both sides, the key forwards we've seen dominate this game. Peter Wright at one end, but Jake Waterman wasn't involved too much in that second and third quarter after one of the all-time quarters we've ever seen in the first. Like to see him step up. Obviously going to be off the back of the centre bounce work that Pab's just highlighted, but Jake Waterman kicked the 4 goals in the first quarter. I'd like to see another 4 from him in this one to keep West Coast in alive this season.
Thanks, Scully. The interesting watch might be for the Bombers. A bit of chat going on here with the physio and Sam Draper as well as to how he's going. Increased workload tonight, of course. This is in the break. Everything's being discussed right there.
Well, I think it's, hey, I'm a bit sore right now, but let's play you smart. Let's, you can see the doctor and the physio are almost shaking their heads going, oh, geez, I'm not sure this is the right move, coach.
Well, that's Brad Scott saying, have you got 30 more in you?
Yes.
Because that vision that you showed over three-quarter time was perfect. It only works if your ruckman's getting their hands on the football.
The scoreline wasn't supposed to be this close. West Coast in search of a huge upset in their first win of the season. The Bombers have fought their way right back into it as we're underway in this final quarter. Optus Stadium. And we'll get another stoppage in the middle.
Coming back this way.
Eagles led by as much as 29 points in that second term. Ali Reid's held up. 4 minutes into that second quarter. It's almost 30 points as Bombers, well, Durham took out his own player in Merritt who caught one high. And now holding the ball court. So West Coast will take the free kick. Harley Reid wants to go quickly. Drifting down is Duggan. The Eagles will love the first of this final term. Davis has got the footing.
Yeah, so it's great work in around the ball from Reid and those midfielders, but Duggan was the extra behind the play and he pushed really hard forward to be used on that offensive ball movement. That's exactly the plan, I'm sure. Davis unsure what he's going to do here, though.
Not sure if he's got the journey.
Yeah.
Waterman doesn't think he does.
A couple of leads from Jake Waterman. Ignored there. And he's just going to send a sky ball into the top of the square. Archer Reid was up. Jaden Hunt at the spill. Looking all the way as he was tackled. And we get a boundary throw in and stay inside 50 for the Eagles. Tom Ross, the sub for West Coast, need to be injected into the game. So they're really into the action in that third quarter for Jay Gresham. For Essendon, Archery, the hit out was a good one, but it went straight to a Bombers player. Caddy up the ground.
Only his second disposal for the match, but he can not have a great 15. Wow.
Well, Crips aware of it, heard the call from the umpire, and now holding the ball is the call. Brad Scott can't believe it.
And I'm with him. That's
25.
yeah.
That's right.
We get the notion that we want to keep the game moving.
Incredibly harsh call on Essendon, and the Eagles will get a mark inside 50. Will be it very wide with Liam Ryan.
I might step that one out here, boys. That was disgraceful. Got to be honest. I reckon that's about 30-metre kicking board there.
I don't know if we even need to step that one out, Scully.
That's right, he's staying on the mark.
Fair enough, if it's not the 15 not to pay it, it's borderline, but at first glance looked clearly should have been a mark to Essendon. The turnover's been forced from that free kick, and now it's Liam Ryan from the pocket, right across the face, in fact. And a little shake of the head. He's been unhappy with his finishing this evening. Bombers get possession back. No damage done. As that kick goes to the back, half-back flank, it's knocked away from Draper, and then Davis sees it out. First goal of this final term will be crucial, whichever way it goes.
This is uncharted territory for the Eagles this season. They haven't been this close in their first 5 attempts. This is about sticking to your task and execution under fatigue and pressure.
Darren, away to centre field. Crowd really invested, making a stack of noise, and their team wins it back as Davis goes to half forward. Draper's gone down off the footy here and clutched, I think, straight at his knee, perhaps. We keep a watch on him.
It didn't look good.
That could be a real concern for Essendon. We hope that he's okay with the trainers. Bombers have got the footy though. They need to press on. Perkins sends it in. Martin from the side, floating in to take the grab.
We'll get a look at exactly what's happened. I wonder if that's what was discussed at three-quarter time. Ankle or knee. It certainly looked like he grabbed low. But what about this mark from Martin? Absolute beauty as he soared above the pack. It was good work from Caddy again. Hasn't had a big match, but he's had a big start to this 4th term to get it out to his free player and set this goal up.
Trained at West Coast in the pre-season a few moons ago now, but it was the Bombers that gave him the opportunity. And they're going to start at the top level. And he punishes through a goal there. First one goes to Essendon in a tense final quarter.
Here the umpires discussing we've got an injured player, but they'll make sure that.
So here he is behind the plate. He just goes to, that could be an Achilles. It's hard to tell, but that doesn't look. It's a lower leg, so he's really struggling with that right leg, even just to get off the ground. So we'll get Will Schofield onto that. But here's the story in terms of the play. Cuddy again breaks the tackle, shrugs it, stays in the contest, and it's a nice jumping mark from Martin, an important finish to start this 4th term for the Bombers.
Boys, Sam Draper's going straight down to the rooms here. Looks like he's keeping pressure off his foot. Absolutely no idea from a medical perspective, clearly me, but he's absolutely done for the day, I reckon.
Thanks, Scully. Sometimes when you see players take off like that, like we did with Brody Kemp last week.
Achilles action, isn't it?
But for Essendon, the grandest story, they lose a ruckman last week to a significant long-term injury. We hope that's not the case here. And they've got a game of footy to win. They have to find a way to do it without their number 1 ruck tonight as a high ball. Jimmy camped underneath it.
He did really well, kept his eye on it the whole way and protected the drop zone.
Swings a kick wide. It took an eternity to get to Jack Williams, but now on the burst, Davis will take it and send a high ball in. He wants Waterman. He got a little nudge into the contest from Ridley. Spills away. Davis to Harley Reid. And a throw the call.
Yeah, just wonderful pressure from Merritt, just enough to get an arm in and cause that throw.
Merritt through the middle to Kako, more aggressive. They go through the corridor, and it will pay dividends as Wright marks inside 50.
That's the beauty about bringing the football back through the middle of the ground. So difficult to defend. And it allows Peter Wright to pick where he wants to lead. Just nice connection.
It was this kick as well from Merritt, wasn't it? Instead of drawing Kako to the ball, it went over his head to where he had the advantage on his West Coast opponent and then opened up all the forward 50.
Peter Wright has played a huge hand up forward, back into the side, and lets that one go. Needs it to straighten it. It goes into the post. Ups his hand in disgust as he was searching his 6th. 7-point game. McGovern back pocket.
So if you're West Coast, you're going to keep taking some risks with the ball in hand because you're not going to get done in around the stoppage.
Up the line. Durham was there competing with Huitt. Flynn went without it. Huitt got the knock high as he went burrowing in. Spills forward. Waterman attacks it. Setterfield had him. Ross out there. Gets a handball away into the action and having an impact. No from Crips. Grab ball to 50. The noise has been immense. That team showing a competitive spirit through this evening's clash.
well done, Jake Waterman, to charge at the ball and then just that little handoff to someone in division. That was a huge play, and then a nice kick from Hunt.
Jamie Crips. 1 goal 2 tonight. Hooking away, wanting it to drag back, but it always went across the face. We get down to Scully.
Well, boys, Tyrell Dewar has been subbed to tactical sub Tom Gross onto the ground. I really liked his work last week at Gather Round, so he injected some run into the West Coast side.
All into the back pocket for Martin. One kick in it. Switch the footy across. Dursma. Up to half back, he misses the kick, but Essendon have some numbers over him. Forward still now to Hobbs. West Coast pressing. Good handball inboard to Dursma. Graham close quickly. Up to half forward. Jimmy sees it out.
Still a bit of direction after half-time. The Bombers looking like they're flicking the ball around a bit more by hand, trying to get the ball moving at all costs forward. Hobbs on that occasion going back towards his numbers, and then that handle just went bang straight away. You can see the disposal in the second half. 22 more to the Bombers, and a lot of that's come from forward handballs.
Flynn wins it down. Huitt is held. And he'll take the free kick. I suppose number 17 for him this evening. Kelly to Jaden Hunt. Around the wing they go. High ball up. Ryan in front. Punched away by Brian.
So we've been speaking about that clearance game and how important it's been in the favour of the Bombers. It's been a similar story this quarter, even though it has been a little bit balanced out. So it's been clearance dominance for the Bombers and turnover dominance by the West Coast Eagles tonight.
Flynn down. Huitt on the burst. Redmond. Dursman squeezed the kick, run as far as Duggan. Kelly into Waterman. Ridley stands up in defence for Essendon. And now they can try to sweep it out. McGrath again providing that drive. Big battle here. Hoff and Menzie one-on-one. Menzie knocks it forward. Hoff trying to recover. Boundary line there. They both go to ground. Terrific battle. And they see it out of play.
Seen a number of those one-on-one battles, and generally the high half-forward and a running defender. Sent it down the other end with McGrath and Crips a couple of times, but Off's been tremendous on a couple of occasions. It was a good contest there.
Flynn down. Huitt. Davis on the boot. Up the wing they go. Zachary will intercept.
Well, Hewitt's starting to get a bit of impact around that clearance stuff. He's the one that looks most likely, doesn't he?
Well, he looks most likely because he's on the move, Pat.
Yeah.
Fatigue starting to set in. He's constantly on the move.
Shield, terrific kick. Great vision to find Wright out of the corner of his eye to change the angle there on the kick and get the mark inside 50.
That's exactly right, Paps. Change the angle. So his body and everyone ahead of the play was heading out to this near side, commentary side, and he just swung that leg beautifully across his body, spotted right out the corner of his eye and hit him.
Really hit some form going back, playing more inside mid. Dylan Shield in recent weeks. Peter Wright, another opportunity. Perfect off the boot, and it sneaks inside the post. It held its line up, and it's a sensational 6 goals for Peter Wright.
It's a monster night. First game of the season. 6 of the 11 goals kicked by Peter Wright. We've spoken about his range and how far you have to come out to defend him. McGovern, still one of the best defenders in the competition. Not respectful enough.
Yeah.
Not thinking that kick one, as he touched on, Pat, was going to go on that angle. I felt that Peter Wright was irrelevant in the position that he was. And has never been an issue kicking from that sort of distance. It's just, the goals are spectacular, but it's the 17 disposals and the marks that go with it, the way that he's gone about his performance tonight.
He's played with huge presence, even early when the Bombers weren't in the game at all. He was the forward leading up, hitting up, just trying to demand that ball, and he has finished his work off with 6 of the best.
Eagles led it by 29 in the second term, been a big swing in this one. Still plenty of time remaining, and it's Huitt again. His legs almost tapped there as he drives it in. Elijah Huitt almost carried the distance. Ridley with a goal-saving attempt and knocked it through for a behind.
lunging effort here on the goal line. That's a brilliant bit of work from Ridley. Much needed because Huitt, he's the one that looks explosive out of the centre square and around the stoppage for the Eagles.
Well, could have got a push there. Bombers get it out the back. Eagles have numbers down the line. Jimby and Hoff. The bounce a tough one. Hoff, he kept it in play. He did. Feeds it inboard and they can work it across to Duggan. Scoring straight up for West Coast. They need to find a way to fight back into it now as Pryor intercepts.
Yeah, well done. Stood underneath it. Good Jackson Pryor.
Outside quiet, Jamie. Go closer.
Merritt in no rush to move it forward. Goes back to McGrath.
Outside quiet.
Now the leading disposal winner for the Bombers with 24, McGrath. Get out to Setterfield. So a stack of time remaining in this one. Essendon by 11. High ball up the wing. Wright set himself in front. Caddy.
He's had a huge last turn. Hardly touched it for 3 quarters now.
And a quick entry too. He wants Benzie. Marek with a good spoil. Ball still alive. And Marek sees it out.
And that's what can happen as a young key forward or a key forward in general, that you don't touch the ball or you're not involved that much. But when it is your time, when you're clutching them, when you're starting to get in the game, you can have a big impact. You can have a look at those inside 50s. West Coast was 7, so tide's turned a little bit with efficiency.
Down Jack Williams. Shield in there. Gets it over the top. Bouncing footy. And it rolls away.
We saw one of the great contrasts of a key forward last week at Gatherdown with Eric Hipwood's first half to his second. Walked away best on ground.
Margin at 2 goals. Marek confident with the kick-in duties. To Hoff, and then we'll get it back. Sprays a little off the side of the boot, out towards Archery. Punched underneath it by Mackay. Now he sees it out.
Elijah Huitt taking in the big ones. He's had a big start to this 4th term, but he and these West Coast midfielders need to get on the move. Tim Kelly comes back on after a bit of a spell.
Kelly. Back for Baker. High ball down the line. Really favoured Flynn. Pryor takes another intercept mark. He's taken a few of those in this term. For the Brisbane line. The line they go. Wright presenting again. Ross was at the spill. Merritt now. Able to gather. Took the contact but coughed it up. And a dump dangerous tackle goes against the Eagles. McGovern not happy with it. And McQuarter can't sit down. He's searching for his first win as a coach at West Coast. Martin retreats. So a little comfortable buffer, the Bombers, with 8.5 to play.
Dangerous tackle on the bottom of your screen there.
Martin with his 25th disposal. The pressure from Bryce affected the kick, not 15 for Setterfield. Needed to be aware of that, and the Eagles win it back. Jack Williams, away to Flynn. He's just going to tumble and spiral ball to half forward. Bounce crucial. It favours Owies. Puts it on the boot to gain territory. Up inside 50. Waterman working hard. Couldn't reel it in.
After setting the game alight in the first quarter, Jake Waterman is still involved in a lot of scores, but hasn't had much clean ball, has he, after quarter time?
Fatigue a real factor. Owies after it. Holding the ball to call. It'll be a Bombers free.
I have liked that change in the second half with Ridley going to Waterman. I still feel like Waterman is clearly their best avenue to goal. This is going straight back in.
Pryor turns it over. The kick by Flynn in. Jack Williams worked ever so hard to get to the fall of the footy.
He moves well, the big fella. Jack Williams really presents. Protects the drop zone very well. Good player that sort of been in and out of the side the last couple of seasons. He's got some things to work on, but have a look at the big effort here. 198 centimetres, big fella. He normally kicks it well. Huge opportunity here to get the Eagles back in the game.
2 goals to his name. Subbed out of the clash last week against the Blues. His team needing to convert. That one never given a hope. Out of bounds on the full. Tired looking kick.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, both teams looking fatigued, and when there is so much fatigue later in the game, it's the team generally that keeps a cool head, stays composed. You can see the inside 50 differential, but just that ability to hit a target is 50 metres because he went inside the 9-metre zone there. But you can just keep your head, dispose of the ball cleanly, find the right options, and then execute.
Where West Coast were efficient through the first 3 quarters with their inside 50s. They were able to score, and they're getting some numbers, but not able to convert. Bombers look in control. Particularly Dylan Shield with a run and 3 bounces make it 4. Just cruising his way up to half forward and a long deep entry in there. Zach Green was forward, spills out the back. Kako good pressure. And it spills off the hands of Jindy and through for a behind.
So Peter Wright, as we have a look at Sam Draper in the rooms.
Yeah, it's Achilles, well, it's certainly a lower leg calf / Achilles area that doesn't look good at all. It's,
Hopefully not as bad as what we saw with Kemp last week, in that at least he could put some weight on it and walk off the field himself. Peter Wright having a well-deserved rest, so that tall responsibility falls on the shoulders of Caddy.
A sour note on the fight back for Essendon. That injury to Draper. Up the line, Marek Gross, now Harley Reid. Flirts with that boundary line, but kept it in play. Duggan wants to roll and go. High ball in, they're desperate for a mark. Archer Reid down there competed. Off the boot of a couple of players. Spills through, Duggan up again. Put his body on the line to keep it inside 50. And it stays in play again. Duggan, Huitt, Jack Graham. Threw it on the boot, across the face. Davis down there, Hutchinson competed. It spills to ground, Dersma. And getting some entries here, the Eagles, but just not able to put a score on the board in this final term.
Yeah.
And now they've got the outlet. And we see it. An injury concern here now for West Coast. Archer Reid. And cop a knock in that marking contest. Spills down Baker. And more through. Gets it back again. The driving ball is wayward. And out of play.
That's their 11th inside 50 this quarter, the West Coast Eagles. They've had 6 more than the Bombers. So we have a look at that. And they just landed on him with those bodies.
You just haven't been able to lower their eyes and find a target, have they? A lot of it's just been bomb and hack kicks inside forward 50, hoping for the best rather than just holding the ball a little bit longer and finding a connection.
Hewitt flashing past is lively. Big story. Injury to Sam Draper, as you can see there. He just went straight down, which is never a good look. Unfortunately, when it comes to those Achilles injuries, he's trying to take off. Dersma, way to half back, off a few sets of hands. Jimby in there. Hutchinson, Graham. The Eagles just hoping weight of numbers will see them convert a goal. Hewitt was bumped out of it early, and that might be the call for a block and a free kick. And he is a long kick of the footy, as he's already shown tonight.
Who's up, coming up for disposal, number 21. He's had an enormous second half. I didn't know if he had the length in him on that set shot in the third quarter. This appears to be closer than that. So Dylan Shield, just eyes off the footy. Once again, not a lot in it, but was he contesting the football? Probably not.
No, you got to get back to the ball, don't you, if you're motion for that. Hewitt certainly got the distance.
He's out for 568 days before making his return at the start of this season. He has given his side a ginormous lift in this contest. 2 goals for Elijah Hewitt, and West Coast still alive.
Harley Ever, perhaps 7 points in it, 4 minutes to play. And Elijah Hewitt, this young midfielder that West Coast fans have been just waiting for to hit his straps and take his moment. Well, tonight is doing exactly that. Here's the free kick. Shield goes to him, eyes off the ball, doesn't get back to the ball. Not a huge amount in it, but it is a free kick. And then we saw it in that third term. Huitt very confident with the distance. He's had a big night. 12 contested possessions, a few tackles, a number of clearances, 5 of them in fact, and 2 goals. Game on.
He's been the spark in this second half, Huitt. We go back to the centre square bounce.
Shield on the bench. Where's the clearance coming from? West Coast with a renewed effort as they close in. Durham will win it though for the Bombers. Hoff and Kako wrestle. Harley Reid away. Duggan trying to skip clear. Showed too much of the footy. Kelly's wrapped up in a good tackle by Kako and will get the ball up.
Those centre square bounces have been a concern all night for the West Coast Eagles, and once again they don't win one.
We went from Dersma and Kako to really beeline for a couple of tackles there. Hold the ball up.
Merritt took it straight to ground and get another stoppage. 3:40 to play, 7 points in it.
You can see there, just to the left of the screen, so a lot of the Bomber forwards have pushed right up. They haven't got a huge amount ahead of the ball. They're trying to really suffocate this stoppage.
And it's Harley Reid getting them moving. Crips with the ball. Liam Ryan copped a tough bounce. McGrath was good, but he goes wide, very wide. If it rolls out of play, you know what will happen. The Eagles fans happy to get the free. Jack Graham. The pressure mounting. And that's a poor kick in the end. It goes out of bounds on the fall from Graham. After that build-up, they're just starting to press.
Well, they just stepped back into the field of play, and by definition that is now play on, and that's why the man on the mark was able to press.
It's really poor. I think it's seeing a player of Jack Graham. See players do this every week. When you step in bounds after a free kick, it's play on, put himself under pressure.
And instead of an inside 50, it's possession back to Essendon at half-back. They go up the wing. Contest made. Caddy at the spill. Setterfield's kick. Bouncing footy. Jinby has to work back after it. If he turns corridor, he's got to work hard and played it well to Hoff. High ball across half-back. Dangerous areas. Roberts was there. Hutchinson fighting hard. Baker was the extra. Tries to feed it across to Jaden Hunt. Now they've got to take the game on. Graham to Duggan to Marrick at half-back. They're out. Perhaps West Coast. Flynn needed the mark. The big man stood up. He sends a high ball in. It goes into Ryan. Takes the mark. Plays on. Put himself under the pump. But a kick goes wide. It would have been paid. Why, oh why did he play on and send it out on the full? Bombers player down. Dersma with the trainers.
Yeah, that was the big knee from Flynn when he took that mark. They were out everywhere. Always was by himself. It was a mark, by the way. Liam Ryan caught that. Decided to play on.
West Coast pressing. Trying to stay composed. Jinby lost it. El Hawley gets it through. Perkins, Setterfield on the boot. Now the Bombers through Menzies. They can continue to roll the dice because they've got the extra. A handball wide of El Hawley will be a boundary throw in, and both teams just feeling the heat with 2 minutes to play.
There's the big knee. That's going to hurt. Dersma, Brave going back with the flight. Flynn just going for the mark, and that just got him flush. Winded. Hopefully not some broken ribs. They're out there, the Bombers.
7 points in it. Kelly at the stoppage. Crips down low. Scooped it up. Baker spun out of trouble, went into it. Merritt won it well. Roberts kept a cool head. Feeds it now for Pryor. They go forward and they'll get a mark. And they should take 30 seconds off the clock at the very least, and a chance to convert through Menzies.
There's great composure there by Pryor coming through the middle of the ground. As Paul Dersma still feeling that knee from the ruckman.
Plenty of pain. Feel for him indeed. His side have the football. Menzies taking all his time to take those seconds off the clock. 4 goals last week against the D's. He heaves into that one with tired legs. And it hooks away. Possession back to West Coast with a minute to go.
Well, everyone on the ground should know where this is going.
McGovern wastes no time. Sends it straight up the guts. He's looking for Ryan. And there's a holding free kick to go the Eagles' way to Jaden Hunt. They want to keep going. Hutchinson's kick goes in long. Jack Williams! Body work was perfect, but must go back quickly and convert. 8 points as it stands. Cannot waste too much time, but needs to make sure he sends it through. 30 seconds remain. Kick is straightening back up. It's there! The young star on the rise. Jack Williams sets up a thrilling finish. Bombers by 2.
He's had some really good moments tonight. He's got the size and a frame that he can put a lot of weight on. It's great body work. He just judges it perfectly with Mackay. Doesn't give away the free kick, protects his space. Just the slightest of nudges. As you said, perhaps had to go back and finish it rather quickly to give themselves enough time to find another score.
Game on here, absolute game on. 28 seconds to play. No Sam Draper, no Ruck, really. Reid's in there. You think Flynn will just set this up. You can see they're pointing and saying, oh, you go there, I'm going to hit it down your throat. The Bombers trying to hold on.
Bombers can't let this come out the front of the stoppage. They have to force the Eagles backwards.
The noise immense, 28 seconds, 2 points in it. West Coast searching for their first win. Bombers trying to hold on. Eagles attempting to surge. Clearance work crucial. Durham was huge. Got it forward. Sends the ball wide to space. The clock continues to tick. Jaden Hunt trying to keep it in play. McGovern with desperation. West Coast might get one last crack at it. Ball on the boot of Huitt, but chopped off by Martin. The WA boy intercepts and holds up the footy and will seal the deal for Essendon. They survive an almighty scare on Good Friday and they escape the West with their scarves waving. With the 4 points in the bank, the Eagles gallant, but the Bombers by 2 points. Separate them in the end. West Coast stay winless in season 2025. A competitive spirit was there. A much improved effort on last week. But a good old-fashioned Good Friday thriller.
What a great game. What a fantastic effort from both teams. They're out on their feet. There's another story that we'll watch. We'll keep a close eye on as this match or the post-match goes. But they were brave, West Coast. They were everything that they haven't been across the first 5 weeks of the season. The Bombers, though, well done to them because when it mattered most in this second half, they really stood up and got it done.
They had to get it done. As the game was wearing on, that more of the pressure was building on them, that a result that they were expected to just walk over, grab the 4 points and then get home. It was a better response by the Eagles. They'll be pleased with the effort and the execution. But well done to the Bombers. They just found a way when they had to.
2 point win. As the brothers chat amongst themselves. Let's get down to Will Schofield.
Boys, I'm down here with Peter Wright, 6 goals, mate. A bit closer than maybe you would have liked in the end there.
Honestly, I think any win in AFL footy is hard fought. I think clearly we didn't play the way we wanted to play for the full 4 quarters today. It was disappointing, but credit to them. They really responded from last week, really brought up the contest. We knew they were going to be hard coming forward at us and a bit of a transition game, and they were good at that. Probably wasn't up to standard for us on defence.
What was the coach like at the break? So, I mean, it didn't start well, and then you were able to respond and keep coming. Was Brad vocal, or what was the message to you boys?
Yeah, he was really measured. He's like at quarter time, obviously down at quarter time, but a lot of the game was how we wanted it. They were very efficient inside 50. I think on our end we weren't efficient inside 50 and got done around the contest a little bit. So, yeah, he was actually really measured throughout the whole game. Just wasn't getting the response, I guess, on good from us always.
What about you, mate? After a slow start, you come out and kick 2 big goals in that second quarter. Did you take it upon yourself to really stand up?
I think like the key forward is, you just want to bring in contest the whole time. Like I was able to do that for large parts of the game. I think regardless of getting on the end of a few, I got some good service in the second half, but just bringing that contest, halving it, trying to allow us to play a forward half game.
What was the battle down there? Like Harry Edwards, Jeremy McGovern, a good defender. What was the battle like against the West Coast defenders?
Yeah, I just said to Gov, they're a bit of a different back six when he's in there. Reads the game so well, able to help out in the air a lot. So definitely a battle. We probably didn't challenge them enough throughout the night. Just did it for enough, I guess, across the 4 quarters.
You must be happy with your midfield dominance. Your centre bounce clearance work from your boys was outstanding. Makes it easy for you boys up forward.
Yeah, it's clearly the most opportune time to score, but it's 6-6-6, not able to lay off an impact area contest. So credits to those boys in there. James, I think, relishing that ruck roll. Hopefully he's all right. I'm not sure what he went down with, but when they give you that good service, it's always nice when it's 6-on-6.
Enjoy the trip home. Well done today, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, Peter Wright with the 6 goals. We see Dersma with some concern as well after that nasty knee that he copped late there. His body's going around everywhere. Dale, a thrilling finish. And Peter Wright, what an inclusion he has been this week. And 6 goals to your name and a real presence up forward. We'll talk more about him throughout the post-match as we get back down to Will Schofield.
I found a West Australian down here, boys. Nick Martin, mate, enjoying your footy. Great win in the end. I mean, you guys were challenged and to get up, you must be happy.
Oh, it is a good win, and we know how tough an environment Optus Stadium is, especially against the Eagles. So, we expected a tough battle. We knew they were going to throw a punch, especially after last week's performance. So, really pleased with the result.
And I spoke to Peter about your coach, Brad Scott. What was the messaging? I mean, you're in the leadership group. What was the messaging to some of the senior players? Because you didn't start how you would have liked, but you were able to bounce back.
Yeah, and it was keep coming back to sort of contest and defence first and foremost. Probably, we did get a bit ahead of ourselves. I think getting ahead of the footy just didn't play to our brand. So just coming back to our process, our brand, and I think we persevered.
Where's your role at the moment, mate? Forward, I like you as a backman. Where are you playing your best footy? You had a great game today.
A bit of wing, bit of half forward, so I love the flexibility to go between the positions. Tonight was mostly half forward, but really enjoying flexibility.
Zach Merritt probably down a little bit on such an amazing couple of years he's had tonight, but what's he like as a leader inside when you're getting challenged like that on a pretty hostile ground here? Does he get more vocal out there?
Not necessarily. He remains the exact same, which is a great attribute to having a leader when you're challenged to not go inside or do the opposite and try to do everything himself, which he would admit he'd probably been a culprit of previously, but he sort of trusted the group to play our role and get the job done. But, he just tried to lead by example, I think, in that second half. And, for a down game for Merritt, he probably still had 25 odd.
Back at home, Friday night footy, you going to stay over here or you're off back home with the boys?
No, I'll stay over. It's Mum's birthday today, so happy birthday, Mum. I got the win for her.
Well done. What's Mum's names?
Diane, so shout out Diane, lovely mother.
Very good. Thank you, Diane. You've done a good job. You got a good son. Well done, mate, and enjoy the win.
Appreciate it.
Happy birthday to Diane as well. And what a way to celebrate to Nick Martin out there. Played a terrific hand, Nick Del Santo. And the Eagles fans giving some applause, sticking around for their team. Happy with the effort that they showed tonight.
Yeah, so those claps and the standing for their team is based off what we spoke off the top of the show off. It's about the effort and then the level of effort that can be sustainable over 4 quarters, which just simply hasn't been there, particularly last week. So that's acknowledgement that there has been growth and improvement, but more than that, perhaps that they are capable. So well done to the West Coast Eagles on growth, but this was a great day by the Bombers, and maybe we've undersold a little bit about the challenge it was off the back of gather round last week, then heading over to the West and trying to back up and get it done again. But, I mean, in a different world, maybe Peter Wright wouldn't have even played tonight, given the injury to Brian last week, but he's come in and he was near on perfect. Couldn't ask anything more from the way that he presented, his energy even in that first quarter when things weren't going well. But he absolutely ticked all the boxes. The concerns are clearly Draper. Jake Gresham left the field early. And then hopefully Dersman's nothing more than winded as we saw that big contest late in the game. But Nick Martin hit the nail on the head. They had to get back to their contest and their defence, which wasn't there in that first quarter. When they tidied it up, they only conceded 6 more goals after quarter time after giving 5 in the first. So it was a tough effort and it was a brave effort. I reckon they'll jump back on that flight probably tomorrow and just say, okay, it's been a big fortnight of football. Let's regroup and get ready.
Just a quiet game.
Just a quiet one back at the MCG. So
Anzac Day.
it's been a big, it'll be a big 2 to 3 weeks for them.
It certainly will be. And you mentioned it being a gritty and brave performance by Essendon because they were on the back foot. They were 29 points down 4 minutes into that second term.
Yep.
And then to be able to turn the game the way they did and not hit the front again till the final quarter, they had to really grind it out. And that's a big run coming up, particularly with Anzac Day. And the way the Pies are playing, a great win by them last night. It sets up just a fascinating clash coming up next Friday.
Yeah, and they don't leave Melbourne for another month, so that'll be really pleasing from just a continuity perspective. And we heard Nick Martin say it wasn't possibly Zach Merritt's best game. He still had 26 disposals. You know, he still had a big influence on the game and his defensive pressure, but I thought Martin was sensational. I thought Andy McGrath had a great game and a lot of those battles one-on-one with Jamie Crips in particular. So some of their better plays probably had some a quieter night, but I just like the collective and just a will to get themselves over the line when they had to.
2-point win in the end. Zach Merritt had a quiet night with the 26. He's had 34 plus in the last 3 weeks, so he's been going very well.
26 is okay.
The Bombers are able to grind it out. Big comeback from behind win.
To win the premiership flag. Woo! Our boys who play this game again are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up. We are the team to defeat. They will try their best, but they can't get it as the Bombers fly up.
A mixture of happiness and a bit of relief as well, I think, in singing that song. A lot of fatigue out there too. After a hard-fought 4 quarters of footy, they dug themselves a hole, but they got themselves out of it, Essendon. And 3 wins in a row now, Dal, after 2 losses to the Hawks and the Crows to start. They've now knocked off Port, the D's, and the Eagles, and it just makes things a lot rosier on the table.
Puts them back in the conversation, doesn't it? And if things had have gone a little bit differently over the last 2 to 3 weeks, then, you know, the rest of the year would have been even more challenging to try and find those wins that they desperately needed. But they've got themselves out of a little hole. Big month coming up, though.
See Todd Goldstein in the rooms there as well. He might have a role to play in coming weeks as we get down to Will Schofield and Matthew Pavlich in the room.
And we also have the very happy Andy McGrath. Relief, I think, is the word you just used then.
Yeah, absolutely. West Coast came out really strong tonight, and they played some really good footy, and we had to respond and just peg away as the quarters went on, and fortunately enough, we ended up 2 points in front. But it was really good effort by them, and an even better effort for us to come over the top.
You were on top all night, really, in the clearance battle, but you just weren't able to really, I guess, put the scoreboard pressure on, particularly in that first half. You started to get going in the back end of that third quarter, though. What was the message? Looked like at halftime, forward handball, keep the ball moving, keep the ball rolling, and then you'll be able to break them in the end.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like that. All our key metrics were looking okay. Other than the scoreboard, we try and sort of disconnect from that as best we can. But you feel it over here in Perth with the crowd, and they're very passionate and they do very well for their boys. But yeah, we felt like the game looked pretty good. We knew it was going to take all 4 quarters, and it did in the end, and they fought back pretty hard at the end as well.
Mate, you're the second youngest side in the comp this weekend, West Coast being the youngest. Who's driving that comeback from a senior point of view?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way. I feel like we've got a good core group of guys between sort of 21 and 27. I think Zach's our second oldest player, but he still feels pretty young. I think he still wants to play for a lot longer. But it's a good energy around the footy club. Everyone comes in, wants to get better. Everyone's sort of in that phase of their career where they really want to work and drive standards. And I think you guys like Sammy Durham, Archie Roberts, guys who have just taken their game to another level and haven't played a heap of footy, but we're just enjoying working hard together, pushing each other, and getting results like tonight, build the trust.
Talk us through your one-on-ones with Jamie Crips, because at one stage we talked about it was a bit Wayne Carey / Glenn Jakovic. Like it was a genuine one-on-one battle in around the ball, and you found yourselves in some aerial contests, which potentially for someone your size you don't necessarily find yourself in. It was a great battle.
Yeah, we knew the West Coast forwards separate pretty well. They genuinely isolate you as defenders, and we're prepared for that. A few came my way, and I've had a few matchups with Jamie over the years. He's a quality player, and he's got great craft and very good footy smart, so I knew I had to be on. But I love those moments. I love defending. I love one-on-ones. Sort of shows what you're made of out there, and it was a bit of fun in that little patch in the third.
We've seen some vision of Sam Draper down here in the rooms. I'm not sure if you had time to go and see him. Looks like an Achilles. Any update?
No, we haven't seen Draper yet. It didn't look too good as he was jogging off. Yeah, we'll wait and see, I guess. But it never looks good when he's helped off by the trainers. But fingers crossed for the big fella. We need him. He's a super important part of our team.
6 goals to Peter Wright. I know you're a good backman and we like backman a lot, but must be happy with his game. That was impressive.
No, absolutely. I think Pete's been challenged pretty firmly. Started the year with injury and a little bit of his form stuff, but to come out tonight and kick 6 goals and just act like he's never left was awesome for Pete, and we're so happy for him, and he's the spearhead of our forward line.
Did you we just saw some footage about Sam Draper at 3/4 time talking to the doctor or the physios. As a player, did you know what was going on at 3/4 time?
You don't have too much of an awareness. Normally, if the guy's in your line, you can kind of get a gist for it. But we knew we didn't have any rotations in the fourth. We sort of looked to come off a few times, but there was no substitute. But it's pretty hard to get a read on it. But we'll find out in a few minutes, I guess, how he's going.
Friday night footy, you get a bit of a rest, a bit of an extended break, being over here in Perth. So how was the trip away? A young group. You must like getting on the road with the boys.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. 2 in a row, which is rare for a Melbourne team. But we've really enjoyed it. Like I said, the guys have great energy, and I feel like a bit of a veteran now around some of the language and I guess the slang that the boys use. It's sort of a bit too young for me, but guys like Benny Hobbs really drive these things, and it's a lot of fun and good connection for the group.
So what do you do? Are you up the back just sort of chuckling along like a bit of an old boy? Like what sort of operation are you running? Is the boys speaking, you don't understand what they're saying?
A little bit, yeah. They're playing games that I don't have on my phone anymore, but you try and fit in best you can, but they're an awesome group. They keep us all very young.
Let's have a look at some of the big moments in the last quarter, because there were some huge ones that your team very much stood up in this last quarter. Dylan Shill is over next to us. He played really well, but this one in particular, Elijah Huitt, he's a powerful young midfielder.
Yeah, I really like the way he goes about it. He's got speed and power like not many others, and he can really break the game open when he gets going forward. I've loved watching him from afar. Obviously don't know him too well being over in Melbourne, but he goes about it really well.
So when this happened, so Williams kicks the goal, you can see the wingers starting to go defensive. What's the message in the back line when this happens?
Yeah, I think every team has their structure. I won't give away too much about what we're trying to do, but essentially the defenders defend. We practice this scenario time and time again, and we feel really confident that it works, and have a few ideas about what the Oppo do in response to what we do, but it was really pleasing to execute it properly. You never know how those things go, but Nick Martin took a great mark here, and we sort of knew we had it there.
Well, that centre clearance is gold, and you don't have to give it away, but I know for a fact that's where you're kicking it. You're kicking it diagonally, outside, you want space, you don't want to go out on the bounce insufficient intent. I mean, your midfield today were outstanding. They had complete dominance at the clearance. You must be stoked playing in behind them as a back line.
Yeah, when they're up and going like they were tonight, it makes the defending really easy. There's pressure on the ball, they're surging the ball our way, and we can set the ground up behind it. So that clearance from Duz was perfect, and we'll go again next week, get a big clash.
It was a big clash. Well done. That was fantastic. You enjoy Anzac Day, but congratulations on a very brave effort, and thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Very good from Andy. Nice to hear exactly what he had to say post-game. Let's have a look at Peter Wright's efforts, because we spoke about it. The KFC FLG MVP of the night, the fan favourite, of course, was Peter Wright. He was outstanding, and I think Scully, yes, he kicked the 6 goals, but it was his effort to lead and present, particularly when it wasn't on the Bombers' term, that was most impressive.
Yeah, well, that's what I liked about his game. It was the second quarter when they were down. You're on hostile ground. You've had the big trip across, and you haven't started how you want to start. So for him to come out, take some contested marks, I thought he was clearly 6 goals all over Harry Edwards all night tonight. And I watched him in the last quarter, and he was cooked. He was absolutely cooked. He ran himself into the ground. We know he's just back into the team this week, but he just worked so hard. And in that last quarter, McGovern was moved on to him, and he was showing him how to do it as well. And
a smart kick that one wasn't from Shield, just clever late in the game, composure to hit that one. He was huge.
Yeah, I thought Shield was great. Even that run late through the middle of the ground. Some lights have gone off in here. It feels like a nightclub. We're not here yet. Friday night. I thought his game was very good, Dylan Shield. I thought his run and carry and the way he moved. I thought Nick Martin was very good as well. And Their backline probably held up pretty well. In the end, they win the game, but it's 77-75. So they haven't let too many goals in, have they?
No, defensively, particularly after quarter time, they got to work. And I think the Bombers would be very, very pleased with that effort. A positive for West Coast was their pressure, was their intent, was their effort. And a player up forward in particular who got to work early, Jake Waterman, he was a star and set the game alight.
Yeah, well, he did. This is the start that West Coast really needed. I mean, if they don't go and do this to start this game, they can get away very quickly. But as a senior player, he's in the leadership group now, Jake Waterman, and we've seen him speak in the media this week. We heard from Andrew McWalter at halftime saying the senior players have met and they wanted a response. We need to go and do it. And he did, and they don't win. Look, I don't know if deserve it or not, but the West Coast players had a standing ovation coming off the ground from some fans. They like the effort.
You can lose and actually take a lot of steps forward in this game, and conversely, you can win and go backwards. And I think what they did tonight, West Coast, was take some huge step forward. They just haven't been competitive across the first few weeks, and tonight they were impressive.
Well, you got to remember the captain, Oscar Allen, isn't out there, right? So he's managed, which I'm sure we probably need some definitions being pushed across as to what that actually means. But, Jake Waterman with Archer Reid, with Jack Williams, it's a young and different looking forward line, but I thought they competed really well throughout. They were touched up in the midfield. You got to remember as well, you were all over that at three-quarter time. So, yeah, the ability to get it in and battle, I thought that was, and their effort was probably the real positive for
Their
West
effort
Coast.
was fantastic, and their pressure was elite. And we haven't seen this again. They're ranked 18th for pressure across the first 4 or 5 rounds for the year, but they were fantastic. And this was the type of thing that I think for the 45,000 fans that were coming here tonight, Scully, all they wanted was effort and pressure, and they got it in spades from the West Coast.
They got it. They absolutely did. And the man right next to us may know a couple of things about it as well, Pat. That pressure that was brought in and wasn't there, it hasn't been there all year for West Coast. So I don't know if the boys at Bomberland were expecting it, but certainly it was evident in that first part of play.
It certainly was, and we do have Dylan Schill here with us as we keep winding up this beautiful vision from a West Coast perspective in terms of the way they put pressure on you guys. Dylan, thanks for your time. A huge victory, particularly interstate, and what they threw at you early, they certainly took you to deep water, but in the end, you were able to withstand that pressure and get the victory.
Yeah, the first quarter they really jumped us, and it just goes to show that despite recent form and recent years, like the competition's really tight, and if you let any team in, they're going to have their way with you. And their pressure, their ability to move the ball was exceptional, and Waterman was sitting on a hot seat there for a while. So as hard as that was to defend, it was also impressive to watch. But we knew we had the opportunity, a new test for us that quarter time, that we had to really stay strong and grind and work our way back into the game, just regardless of how long it was going to take.
Talk us through that messaging, because that's a really interesting insight, I think, because away from home, expected to win. What is the talk, and what's the who are the players that at quarter time were saying the messages about hang in there, keep grinding away, we'll get this done in the end?
Oh, I mean, it's led by the coach, Brad. And he was really clear leading into the game that they're going to have their moments, and they certainly did. They probably had more of a moment than what we wanted. And you don't want to be going into quarter time allowing that sort of lead. We set ourselves a pretty big challenge, and but required a lot of process and patience and all the boring things that the fans probably don't care about. But it matters, and fortunately we were able to grind back and show some resilience, and just super pumped that we're able to get it back on our terms, and felt like our forwards were really probably disconnected at times, but we were able to bring him in that second half, and it was led by Pete Wright, and super pumped that he was able to come back and have a pretty solid impact.
You had some dominance through the middle of the ground there, especially in the second half. You in particular, mate, loved your game. Were you doing anything differently in the middle of the ground? Your centre-bounce clearance work was incredible tonight.
Not really. We're just sort of taking what the game gives us. We know that they're pretty strong around the ball as well, especially when they get Reid in, and Tim Kelly. The guys are really prime movers in there. So we respected that, and they had times where they were looking pretty dangerous. But we went to work. We had to really body him up, and then let our outside game drive the ball forward for us. So it was. We were on top of stoppages tonight, and it was good that we were able to get some scores from there.
How's your body feeling? You had a nice little run down the middle of the ground there in the last. You're looking pretty good. Is your body feeling good?
Yeah, I think they're looking after me. I'm a bit low game time, if anyone's checked it. I a little bit flat when they pulled me off. I was feeling good, but yeah, it's good. Yeah, like I said, it's good to take what the game has given me, and that moment I thought let's go for a few bounces and drive the ball forward. It was nice I still had the legs going.
You're looking at goals. Yeah, exactly. A play that was outstanding for you. We highlighted at 3/4 time, centre square bounce where Sammy Draper thought he had a big impact on the game, and then unfortunately was sore and injured. Looks like it's a lower leg, potentially Achilles injury. Have you had a chance to have a chat to him as yet?
No, I haven't had a chat to him yet or the doctors, but obviously it doesn't look great. I don't want to go into what it could be, speculate, but yeah, it's certainly added to the feeling after the game. Like despite the win, potentially losing one of our main guys for a period of time, especially after losing Nick Bryan last week as well. So, we've had a tough couple of weeks with injuries.
Does that make the win almost even better? The fact that Sam goes off, Zach Reid goes into the middle and has to fight out of his weight division, and you still get it done?
I mean, it's really great that we had Reedy to be able to step up and play positions that we played before. So that's a tough challenge. You just got to be really fluid in that game, don't you? You never know what it's going to throw at you. Great that we got the job done. Certainly better than losing and flying back with the loss. So, but you're losing one of your main guys. You understand what that does for the team, and we're going to have to find somebody to fill a pretty big hole there.
You've got a young group. It was the second youngest team in the comp this round. You're one of the senior players now. You're the oldest. You're the old boy.
Well, Goldie travels, but I think I'm the oldest currently on the field. Yeah,
so
40.
So he's just got you. What's it like from a leadership point of view when it hasn't gone well in that first half and you come in here not as well as you would have liked? What are the senior players saying to some of these young blokes? Or are the young blokes driving it?
No, the captain, vice captain, and the senior group. Like, there's a bit of a core group that have played a lot of footy together now. So we did a really good preparation going into the game. We spoke about potentially what could happen and how we'd respond. So even though the first quarter wasn't ideal and it happened, we had the confidence that we'd spoken about it and that what we'd be doing if something like that happened. So, and then, when we come to the halftime breaks, sometimes you just got to let the coaches coach. So, it's really important that, they're seeing the game up high and they have a pretty good perspective. So sometimes you just got to let them coach it and be coachable.
What was that message then? So, yes, coachable is important, but clarity of role and sometimes just actually leading by example is important. So what did Brad say?
Well, Brad made some positional moves that he felt would balance up the team, but the big thing for the mids was that ball security, and then the ability to us to be able to keep that turnover game, keep providing defensive layers and support to the backs, and then being able to drive the ball forward. So it was just a really mental challenge as well to how much do we want to hang in there and keep fighting, because it was testing.
It was good resilience, and you come up against Collingwood at Anzac Day, which is going to require a different type of resilience and a different type of game. Anzac Day, tell us about it. It's such a huge day in the Australian calendar, but what does it mean to go out there at the MCG and play that match?
Yeah, it's obviously a massive game, and it means so much and connects so much to the footy world. So I really appreciate that. As boring as it sounds, as a player, you don't want to get overwhelmed and absorbed by it too much. Our job is to play the game of footy, as boring as that sounds. So we'll appreciate it and acknowledge it. And, obviously there's a bit of a build-up pre-game as well, and it's just a special occasion to be able to experience as a player. But what a test it's going to be for us. Best team in the comp, some of the best players in the comp. We're certainly going to have our hands full. So, boys are going to recover well and hit it head on.
How quickly do you get onto Collingwood? Is it tomorrow? Do you get a day off? Does Scotty say just call your Jets boys for a little bit, or Monday morning you into them?
Eat some chocolate, have some hot cross buns.
You should. Easter Sunday, Monday, enjoy that.
Yeah, we'll come in Monday, we'll review the game as we usually do, and Monday, Tuesday we'll start really looking at what Collingwood do, and coaches are pretty across what they're doing anyway, but our preparation will start to lead into the game by Tuesday, I think.
Go and enjoy those chockies, go and enjoy those hot cross buns. Really nice to talk to you, and congratulations tonight. Thanks, Dylan. Well done. Dylan Shield joins us. Thanks for his time. Really nice to sort of hear the inside. There's a lot about the mental side of the game and how they had to deal with that.
Yeah, I thought so. And I was sort of probing pretty much everyone I spoke to after the game and who's standing up. But it sounds like they've got a really balanced approach. And that's led by Brad Scott. And then, each senior player that we spoke to, they said, no, it's everyone's job. It's everyone's role.
Which it is. And that means it's a good team. Let's talk about the injury, the sour note of tonight, because Sam Draper is the one on crutches down here in the rooms, and So here is the end of the third quarter, because there was an incident just before three-quarter time, and then they had a long time between the coaches and the physios. He said, I'm right to go. Brad Scott said, look, we don't want to lose you. And then this was early, just a simple step off. That right leg goes back and he goes down. I mean, again, we don't know exactly what's happened, but that looks like the mechanism of an Achilles injury.
Look, I don't want to give too much away, but I had a bit of a word to a couple of players and a couple of staff here, and it is an Achilles.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look good. We saw the ambulance, the paramedics coming through with a hospital bed. So none of that sort of means anything good. And as well as the way it happened, no one near him, stepping off. Clearly he was chatting about something at three-quarter time there, and it's just a poor way to happen.
We've seen a few of them this year, so whether it's just an anomaly or whether there's something in it, I'm not really sure, but it doesn't look good for Sam.
No, and he's really important to this group. I mean, he was one of their best players until he goes off. It allows Peter Wright to just be a pure forward, which he's done for a couple of years now, but it means they don't have to stretch their way across because he's so important to them. He's a player that sort of started being mentioned around free agency as well. So
You've lost us again here.
Yeah, don't worry.
There we go.
They want us out. Friday night footy. Get out of the rooms.
Speaking of getting out and enjoying the footy, there's so much footy to enjoy across the weekend. Melbourne and Fremantle tomorrow from 12:30 on Fox Footy. The only place you can see it. Looking forward to that one.
All right, folks, there we go. Well, the Bombers did it. The Bombers spoiled the Eagles' party. The Eagles still winless for the season 2025. What, it was close. I think maybe another couple of more minutes. Well, it would have been interesting. The Eagles could have got it done, but it was the Bombers 11-11-77 defeating the Eagles 11-9-75. Of course, the Eagles only putting on 2 goals, 2 in that final term. 2 goals for the Bombers. Those extra 2 points were what did it. The Bombers very happy. All right, let's just round this up with a quick look at the stats. Of course, what we always like. All right, let's just have a look at the fantasy points. The AFL fantasy points, if you play that game. Nick Martin, 122. Peter Wright, 119. Will Settlefield, 107. All others under 100. The goal scorers for the game, there wasn't that many. But here we go. For the Bombers, Peter Wright kicked a bag of 6. Nice job. Archie Perkins with 2. Dylan Shield, Nick Martin, Sam Draper with 1. Sam Draper going off injured. Looks like he's done his Achilles. So I'm thinking that's a few weeks out for him, which is unfortunate. And for the West Coast Eagles, of course, Jake Waterman with those 4 goals in the opening term couldn't add to his tally after that. But he gave it his best shot. Jack Williams with 3. Of course, Elijah Huitt with 2, Jaden Hunt and Jamie Crips, single goal scorers there for the Eagles. For the disposal count, no one hit the 30 disposal count this afternoon, but the top 3 were all Bombers. Zach Merritt with 26 and Nick Martin also with 26. Nick Martin kicking a goal. Andy McGrath, not a bad game, with 25. So that was pretty good. Ace Cat, shout out to Ace Cat out there. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you next time. We appreciate it. Jack Graham was the best of the Eagles with 24 touches. Xavier Dersma on 24. Dylan Shield, 23. Let's just roll down there. Tim Kelly, one of the players we're going to keep an eye out. 22 touches he had, but he wasn't really, I don't think he was a real impact on the game, even with his 22, but good to see him getting a few touches on the board. Harley Reid, the other player, at least he got around a bit, worked a bit harder out there today on the ground. He ended up with 17 touches with 11 kicks, 6 handballs, 3 marks, 4 tackles, 3 clearances. So an improved effort from Harley Reid, which was good to see. He needs to give West Coast a little bit more. And of course, Jake Waterman, who started the first quarter off on fire, ended up with 13 disposals, 11 kicks for 4 goals, took 10 marks and 2 handballs. Liam Ryan there, a good game from Liam Ryan with the 11 disposals, 9 kicks, just the 2 behinds, missed a sitter from about 25 straight in front. That could have, you never know, that could have turned the tables because that was a swing, that was a turnaround of a couple of goals there because Essendon took it from that behind out of their back line, ran down the field and scored a goal from there. So that could have been the defining moment in the game. Now let me just have a look. Let me just see if that is loaded up. There we go. There's the live ladder now. So with that loss to the Eagles, they still sit on bottom of the ladder, winless. Winless on the bottom of the ladder. Only the West Coast Eagles and Melbourne have yet to win a game this season. Essendon jump up into 10th spot now. Played 5. They've won 3, lost 2 games. Of course, 92.7. They are a little bit below on the percentage, and I think next week we'll find out if that is correct, but I'm pretty sure next week is the big game between them and Collingwood. Let me just get back here for the team stats. We'll wrap this up. Not much in the stats there, just 22 to the Bombers plus. There we go, not many kicks, handballs, a difference. Inside 50s, both teams had plenty of opportunity. 47-42. Efficiency wasn't too bad for both teams, up on their season average, and of course efficiency inside 50 lifted after half-time. Free kicks, the umpires loved it, blowing that whistle today, 21-26 plus 5 to the away team. The West Coast Eagles fans weren't always too happy about that. Oh, I tell you what, they're a noisy bunch over there, of course, in Perth. Well, and in Adelaide as well, but there we go, in Perth. And there we go. Clearances, the Bombers by 15. Centre clearances, the Bombers won that clearly there, 12-7 plus 5 there. Stoppage clearances, Bombers well on top there. Contested possessions, uncontested, not a great deal in it there, as with the turnovers. The marks, not a great deal in that, just 12 to the Bombers, but 16-12, both teams had plenty of marks inside 50, which was fantastic to see. Just looking at the tackle count now, of course, the tackles, the Eagles 56 plus 6 on their season average, so that count was up, so that's good, and especially inside 50s, they had 9, so they were bringing a little bit of pressure. All right, let me just have a quick glance, folks, at... let me just bring up, my gosh. There we go. Hang on. That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm looking at the fixture. So for the teams that these teams play next week, we're looking for West Coast. So next week, it'll be next Sunday. So they've got a good what's that, about 9-day break, 8-9-day break, the Eagles, but they fly over to Marvel Stadium. They play Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium, so that's going to be a mighty tough game for the West Coast Eagles to come up against Hawthorn, who'll be looking forward to rebounding. And of course, Essendon, they play Collingwood at the MCG, the Premiership flag favourites. I think, being a Collingwood fan, top of the leader ladders, Collingwood. I think that's next Friday, 25th of April, Anzac Day. There'll be 100,000 crowd there at the MCG. That's going to be a mammoth game. It's going to be a game that everyone will stop and watch or listen to. It's always fantastic to remember the Anzacs on that day. So that's a fantastic day. Next Friday, Anzac Day, Collingwood taking on the might of the Bombers. So that should be a fantastic game. You're going to leave? All right, no worries. Thanks very much, Ace Cat T2K11 for popping on in. We'll see you next time. For me, it's Go Pies. Go Pies for me. All right, folks, that's about all I've got for everyone out there on this one. There are games on tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure if I will be here to cover any of the games tomorrow. But the games on tomorrow, you've got Melbourne taking on Fremantle at the MCG, 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. Following that, should be an absolute cracking game. Adelaide taking on GWS Giants over there at Adelaide Oval, 4:15 Melbourne time. Both teams in terrific form. Should be an absolute cracker of a game. And then a very interesting game, I think. Richmond taking on the Gold Coast Suns there at Marvel Stadium tomorrow evening, 7:35 p.m. The up-and-coming Richmond young squad against the Gold Coast Suns, who are, let's say, they are performing very, very nicely this year. It should be an absolute ripper of a game. Hopefully, I'll be able to cover one or two of those games. We'll see. I'm not sure whether I'll be in or out tomorrow. And don't forget, Sunday, we've got more football coming your way on Sunday, 3:20 p.m. It's a bit of a late start, but 3:20 p.m. should be another two good games on Sunday, and that's Sydney taking on Port Adelaide at the SCG, 3:20 Melbourne time. And of course, that evening, Western Bulldogs taking on St Kilda, 7:20 p.m. Sunday at Marvel Stadium. And of course, the second match of the round coming up on Monday, Geelong taking on Hawthorn, 3:20 p.m. The MCG. That's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. Wow. Still got some great football coming your way, folks. So stay tuned. Don't forget, folks, if you've subscribed, don't forget put the notification bell on all so you know when we're going to do a live or I drop a video out there for everyone out there. So stay tuned for that. I do cover quite a few of these games here. Of course, we love football. AFL football, it's got to tell you what, it's the greatest game in the world. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Because I love me footy. There we go. I just like watching all the teams playing. Anyway, folks, that's enough of me rambling on. ADG Adrian Sports Channel, thanks for coming in, Squire. Go flag Mantle tomorrow. I tell you what, that's definitely a game you would expect to win, and you'd want to certainly win that game against Melbourne. Checking where Fremantle are, sit on the ladder. There we go. Fremantle for Adrian, Sports and Karaoke Channel. You're just inside. You're sitting 8th at the moment. You're hanging on there by a percentage. So this is pretty much a must-win for Freo already in the season to cement their place in the top 8. There's a lot of teams vying for positions in the top 8. But, of course, the top team is on top. And that's the mighty Magpies. There we go. All right, folks, that's it. I am over. I am out. Thanks, everyone, for popping in on another edition here of AFL football live coverage. We appreciate. But what a ripping game it was this afternoon there at Optus Stadium in the wonderful city of Perth. I tell you what, the Bombers by 2 points, 11-11-77, defeating a gallant West Coast Eagles 11-9-75. Oh, I tell you what, it was a great game to end the evening. All right, folks, that's it. I'm over. I'm out. Thanks, everyone, for popping on in. And just before I go, I just did want to say well done to everyone in the live chat, because 63% of the poll today voted for Essendon to win. We got that one right. Well done, everyone. Well done. All right, folks. I'll say ciao for now, and we'll see you at the next game.